takes a snap. That's going to do it from Pittsburgh, from Heinz Field. Sit back and watch and listen to this one inside a half minute, and the Browns will not have to snap the ball again. They will beat the Steelers in the opening round of the playoffs on a wonderful, wonderful wild card weekend. They knock off the Steelers 48-37. Kansas City, here we come.
Browns Radio Super Wild Card Weekend. Define super as you will. For Cleveland Browns fans, super is about as good as it's gotten, at least for the last however many decades. It was terrific for the Browns. Who needs practice? Who needs a head coach? Who needs all your players? When the Steelers are going to turn the ball over 3 times in the first quarter and you jump out to a 28-0 lead and then hold on. Wow, what a weekend we just experienced between what the Browns did and what the Rams did. You got a matchup of legends coming up next week between Tommy and Drew Brees. You've got Josh Allen stating his case, Baker Mayfield on the scene. What up? Happy Monday. I hope you enjoyed that. That was Super Wild Card Weekend. That's what you get when you add one more team to the playoffs. I don't know, man. We talked about adding 2 more. I don't know if I need more super, but if that's what you're going to give me, you might be starting to sway me a little bit. Opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal. Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck. Micah produces on the radio side. He's at Radio Ranch. Josh is downtown. He's showing you the pictures on ProView Network. JJ, hell of a weekend. Started poorly with that Lobo blowout, 82-46. But then you sat on the couch, put a ton of miles on your furniture, and watched a lot of NFL, and it culminates tonight with the national championship game in college football.
The weekend was indeed great. I think 7 is a home run for the NFL right now. And it's in the moment. It works. We like it. We'll see what happens moving forward. But you keep the carrot out there for the number 1 seed in each conference. And the games are competitive. And, yeah, maybe a team will get in that is 9-7, 8-8 at that final wild card spot. But it was a division winner that was the under 500 team and put on a heck of a show, by the way, in Washington. The unexpected Taylor who, yeah, indeed, what a weekend it was for the NFL. Last night was what we always talk about, but you're still not ready for. It's expect the unexpected in sport. But it was still unbelievable to see Cleveland up 28-0 in the first quarter at Pittsburgh. And it was a reminder, you know what, maybe this Pittsburgh team that fell apart after playing 11 games was indeed the team that we thought they were until one half of football against Indianapolis. It was evident last night. The mistakes were early. Ben Roethlisberger looked washed. Like, the first snap wasn't on him, but the rest of that game absolutely was. Just a terrible, that little toss to the running back that was over Benny Snell was turned into an interception. Now, the second one went right through the hands of Deontay Johnson. But other than that, it was the offense that we've questioned. And how about Cleveland, though, in that first quarter, score on every turnover? Yeah, they fell on the football in the end zone right off the bat, but then go out there and capitalize 2 touchdowns on the 2 interceptions. Just an amazing game from Cleveland when we were sitting there. And it looked like the Steelers, offense and defense, had been the team that had not been on a football field the entire week.
Yeah, it did. Mistakes after mistakes. Been through for 501 yards on 68 attempts, which are both records, which is great. You can have those records, but you're done, at least for this season. And I think the question is, are you done, period, with the Pittsburgh Steelers? I think Ben's got football left in. I'm not putting that whole thing on Ben Roethlisberger. Yeah, he threw 4 interceptions. 49 points. 49 points. The Pittsburgh Steelers stopped nobody, and when they had an opportunity for momentum, they didn't stop anybody. Ben's culpable. Ben's absolutely culpable, but not solely culpable. I thought when Mike Tomlin didn't go for it at the first play of the fourth quarter, 4th down and 1, I'm thinking, of course he's going to go for it. They go to break, it's 4th and 1. Chris Collinsworth says, I would 100% gone for it. I don't know how you don't go for it. Well, your defense has been stopping them. Really? They have 30 whatever points. Yeah, you stopped it for the last couple of series. I thought that was a big turning point in thwarting their comeback. But all that said, give some credit to Cleveland. And what Baker Mayfield did, he went out and performed. He threw for, 263 yards and 3 touchdowns. Nick Chubb ran the ball, and their defense forced those turnovers as much as Ben Well, the snap they didn't force. They fell on a football. But you got to give Cleveland the credit, too, right? 48-37. To your point, they capitalized on all those turnovers. I said to TJ I was supposed to do his show on Thursday and then all the capital stuff, so we pushed it back a week. I said, well, it's too bad the Browns are going to be out by then. He said, well, there's always a chance. There's always a chance.
There is, and everything Cleveland was saying last night, 100% on board with. Myles Garrett saying they felt disrespected by Juju Smith-Schuster. I gave them such a minute chance. Looking at the way they played in Week 17, only beating Mason Rudolph by 2 points, not having their coach, not hitting the practice field. I just didn't think they'd be able to compete like that. And they looked fantastic in those moments when they had to. Big plays, whether it's Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, in the fourth quarter, like just game-breaking plays that you didn't expect to see from them in this game, because you just thought, all right, maybe they're going to be competitive, but this week probably is just going to be too much for them. I don't know how they overcome everything that happened to them this week, and they say, you know how we're going to do it? We're going to do it like this. And to your point on Ben Roethlisberger, I think they bring him back because he has one year left, but you better start looking towards the future.
That's right.
Like, you can't extend him. You can't give him more. You say, all right, Ben, you want to come back? You have 1 year left on your deal. Fantastic. But we're looking for the quarterback of the future as well.
And whatever that means, whether that means a draft, whether that means, there's going to be some names out there that are floating around. Or how do you find a guy like Taylor Heinicke? Right? I mean, where does a guy like that come from? How does he end up on your roster? Because he maybe made as many fans as anybody throughout this whole Super Playoff weekend. I look at what went down, and I think Josh Allen continued his ascent. Certainly Baker Mayfield continued his ascent, and then you had veteran quarterbacks in Brady and in Breeze continued to do what they're doing. But when you look at the winners this weekend, the Buccaneers and the Bills, the Rams will get into, the Saints, the Ravens, and Lamar Jackson had a big weekend, and the Browns. The guy who maybe made the most for his career quarterback was the guy who lost in Washington, and Taylor Heinicke the other night. I thought he was gutty, terrific, skilled. I don't know, man. There's a lot of Twitter, a lot of social media, a lot of talking heads who think that guy might be a franchise quarterback. I don't know if he is or not. You say absolutely not. Why do you say like why absolute to you?
I think Taylor Heinicke has earned himself a job in Washington next season, but you cannot use franchise quarterback in one game in the same sentence. Like, is he going to get a chance to play? Yes, but it's also, who else are you going to bring in? Because I think Alex Smith, the way he ended the season, I don't believe he comes back. I just don't think you can trust him. And so you're looking at Taylor Heinicke and Kyle Allen, and you're feeling confident because that defense is real. And you don't want to turn into the Chicago Bears, where you have a legitimate defense that can win you a playoff game in the NFL, and you don't have someone in the quarterback position. You bring him back, but it's not answered yet. I think you're feeling better because that was an amazing performance out of nowhere. I wasn't even thinking Alex Smith wasn't going to take the field, let alone be inactive in that contest. I thought, all right, maybe it's a 2-quarterback system, because Ron Rivera had hinted about that. But then to see him come in and play the way he did, a ton of credit, no doubt about it. But that is a team that I think, to your point, though, I do agree for losing, could be a big winner and potentially finding something. But
so I'm not willing to say absolutely. And I agree with you that one playoff game, you don't say that's my franchise quarterback, but you're shaking your head so adamantly. So why in one game do you say absolutely not? Why in one game would you say, one game of playing pretty well, why do you say absolutely he's not a franchise quarterback?
Because we've seen this story so many times where there's one good performance and you think you have the answer, and it's really hard to do it consistently in that league at that level, week in and week out. Do they think they have someone better than Kyle Allen, better than anyone else on that roster at this point in time? Yeah, I'll give you that. But it's one that I can't say that they're going to be confident in Taylor Heinicke, because we've seen it for one whole game. It was a great performance in a big moment, but it's one that if you're Washington, you feel good saying, all right, at least we have a guy around here we think that can play, and you keep pushing. And that's the same for a lot of these franchises right now. And we had another question answered when we were talking about the weekend. Mitch Trubisky, Chicago, don't have to worry about that big paycheck.
See, and that one bothered me so much, and we're going to get into that because I just the Mitch Trubisky thing. I thought the play calling absolutely crippled him. But I want to follow up on Heineke real quick because I don't know. Okay, like to your point. You got a guy who's in his 4th year out of Old Dominion. If he was so good, why wouldn't he have played before? Well, they drafted Haskins, and that was their guy, right? So they totally committed to him. Then they got Alex Smith in the story that was him, and he was a former first-round pick. And so, I'm not going to sit here and promise you that. I won't. And I can't think of more than one time where a franchise was in a situation like this. They went to the bullpen. You're going, who the hell is that? They're screwed, and it worked. And that's Kurt Warner when Trent Green went down and he became a Hall of Famer. And by no means am I telling you that that's Tyler Heineke right now. The reason that I asked this question is because it's coming out of them. Right? It's coming out of Washington. It's coming out of their camp. It's coming out of their people that, wow, we might have the answer. There's no absolute. I can't agree with you more. You're not going to hand the guy the key to the franchise based on one playoff game. And by the way, they lost the stinking game. But I can't sit here and say absolutely not after what I saw. That's a capable NFL quarterback. That wasn't playing against the Jacksonville Jaguars in early October. That was against Tampa Bay and Tommy on prime time in the playoffs. So again, I'm not sitting here and saying that's your guy, but I'm saying that's a guy that I think should be in the mix.
Yeah, and that's different than saying you found your franchise.
Yeah, no, I didn't say that. I never said that. I said I've been hearing a lot that they did, but it's a lot different. And I saw you shaking your head like absolutely not, and that's what surprised me. Why absolutely not? Is why. Because I don't think it's absolute. But is it absolutely not?
Well, and it's to your point, did they find, say, the next Tony Romo? Because then if they did, they hit a home run. This
Right.
guy is kind of out of nowhere. He performed very well in his collegiate career at Old Dominion, in the FCS level. He was a fantastic quarterback. So he's a talented player. And sometimes, yes, these guys come out of nowhere. He could be overlooked, and then he finally got his opportunity. I think he's going to be an intriguing quarterback to have him on the roster. He looks better than anything else they had thrown out there this season. Alex Smith was serviceable, but he just doesn't have that kind of athleticism left. I think quarterback does.
Yeah, I think that's right too. I guess you kind of led me into another guy, Kurt Warner, that came out of nowhere. When Tony Romo went and Kellen Moore went down, the Cowboys were screwed. They had nowhere to go, and they went to this 3rd or 4th round pick, and Dak Prescott's turned into a guy that we're talking about, a max guy. So, I'll put Kurt Warner and Dak Prescott in the same conversation into how they came on the scene, because they were both buried on depth charts behind guys that were going to take their team to high heights and went down and, all right, kid, you're up. What can you do? And turn themselves into something. We're going to get into the Bears because I think the Bears crippled them. I just don't know what Matt Nagy was doing. There's some stuff where I sat around and scratched my head. Big win for the Rams. Big win for everybody who won this weekend. I thought Josh Allen was terrific. So we're going to get into all of that. 505-246-0610 is how you get to us today. That's area code 505-246-0610. Emails are open, Jeff at 610knml.com, JJ at 610knml.com on the Twitter. Follow JJ at _JJ Buck, and on Facebook, the OD in the AM.
You've seen Rich.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Jeremy Segura.
Forward dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass, wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate, the long bomb, 3-ball.
Oh, great steal by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
A whole little jump step in the...
And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford set. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake, everyone bites. Ramos hits. Jackson loses it. Taylor Bond back. LAU, put it down. Dunkalicious. How about it? Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for
all of it down the right sideline. The pass up in the air. It is knocked down, incomplete. Knocked down, incomplete. Micah Hyde knocks it down, and the clock shows 0. The Bills advance. The Bills win it.
Bills radio, they're going crazy. Some of these teams, and I don't know, for you, it's there's some common stuff. We see Tommy here every year with the different teams, certainly. And there's Drew Brees again. But some of what we're watching, these fan bases who have been beat up and just so hungry for something. The Browns fans certainly, and Bills fans, and Buccaneers fans, although not so as long. The Bills and the Browns is good to see, and boy, the Bills looked, I thought, really, really impressive at times. 27-24 in a tight one. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda, JJ Buck. You can get in at 246-0610. Want your thoughts coming off of Super Wild Card Weekend? JJ, you hit on the Bears, and so I'm happy to go there. Saints 21-9 yesterday. Best play of the game was the last play of the game. That grab by Jimmy Graham, one-handed catch going up and walking into the tunnel and maybe into retirement. And by the way, them not kicking that extra point cost a lot of people a lot of money, if you know what I'm saying, huh? You know what I'm saying? But I thought the Saints were good. I thought the Saints' defense is good. I think their defense has been good all year. And you hit on the quarterback situation in Chicago, and you talked about Mitchell Trubisky and how it's answered. And I think you're probably right, but I thought there was plenty of blame to go around. I don't think he was good. I thought on that 4th down play, he's got to sell out and dive for the sticks instead of give himself up and go out of bounds. All of those things are right. But I just thought the game that Matt Nagy and that staff called, and him only throwing the ball, what was it, 29 times when they were behind the whole time. I don't think they gave him a chance. I never once felt that was the only game all weekend, even when it was 28-0 in the Browns game. I didn't feel it was over. That was the only game I felt that they just don't have a chance. They can't win this game.
And they're a team, they can't overcome big mistakes in a game like that against New Orleans, and you go back to the touchdown that was dropped early, and you looking at that, just the rest of the contest, like that was that moment. There's few and far between for this Bears offense to make wow plays like that against the New Orleans Saints, and they missed it in this game. And Mitch Trubisky, I don't think he was the worst player out on the field in the wild card weekend, but I think it's a situation where it's come to an end in Chicago for both Matt Nagy and Mitchell Trubisky. I think Trubisky is going to end up being, Marcus Mariota, a guy who gets a decent deal to be a backup, but maybe, he'll pop in his next opportunity. But it just feels like their time has come. They couldn't quite excel. They had their previous moment where they were knocked out of the playoffs by the double doink. At that point in time, that was a miss. Went on a run late in the season, tried to salvage it. I just think it's been there, done that. Time to see what's next.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe that's the guy that ends up in Pittsburgh for a second. I don't know. I think you're right. Like ultimately, body of work. I think you're right. And I think that they were kind of there before they went into this weekend. I hated the game that was called for the Bears. If I was a Bears fan, I would be so frustrated because it just never felt like they were getting into a groove, and it was just hand off. Look, I get who your quarterback is, but to win this game, you're not going to be able to ride David Montgomery. And I know he only carried it 12 times. It infuriated me from that standpoint. And I was like, dang, other teams went without their quarterback. I mean, I watched Washington without their quarterback, and they competed. I watched the Rams go through what they went through, and they won. How are you going to throw a quarterback out there with a broken thumb next week up in 2 degrees? Is going to be another story. But I just don't think he got a shake in this game. That doesn't mean he didn't get a shake overall. He got plenty of chances. Greg, you're up first. 505-246-0610. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, guys. As usual, a great show and good topic, so I always appreciate listening. I call very seldom, but thought I would chime in today. I agree with your points about the Washington quarterback. He did look impressive, but again, it's one game, and we don't really know what he'll be. But for me, I've seen too many times where a guy will come in, the first time, the defenses haven't seen him, and they don't know what his weaknesses are, I guess. Maybe he doesn't have any. I don't know that. But too many times we'll see in the NFL that, now we know how to attack him. We know what his weaknesses are, and they will exploit that to the end of the day. Now, is that going to happen? Maybe he is the next Tony Romo. He could be, and I'm not rooting against the guy, but it just, too many times you see that. And I kind of think and wonder maybe more if that won't be the issue with Isaiah Chavez. I mean, the guy deserves every bit of credit, the scholarship he earned and everything else, but does he really have the arm strength to be a D1 quarterback? That's what I kind of wonder about. I mean, on the couple of those touchdown passes he threw, wide receiver was wide open, but kind of had to wait for the ball to get to him. So
no doubt.
Things like that, I think, come into play. It's interesting. It's a good topic. Again, you guys have a great show. I always appreciate kind of how you approach things in a positive way and let people comment on things. So just wanted to speak out to that. And maybe I missed this or don't know. I try to listen as often as I can, but not every day. Haven't heard from Lenny in a while.
Yeah, he's been in and out. And Greg, appreciate the kind words. Yeah, he's been in and out, not as much lately. And Greg, thank you. It's an interesting comparison with Isaiah Chavez. Yeah, he won. To me, there's a little bit of a difference there. JJ, I don't know. Your point's dead on. He could be Matt Flynn. Is it Matt Flynn? Doug Flynn? What was the guy,
Well, Matt Flynn was the one that popped that had like
Green
2
Bay.
games in Green Bay, then got paid by Seattle. What Heineke did was guarantee himself a job next year. Like, he'll get that opportunity. He's going to be on that Washington football team roster. I think if you're Ron Rivera and that coaching staff, you want to give him that opportunity because he came out of nowhere to give you a chance, which you didn't expect you were going to have. So he did that. He earned himself a shot, much like Isaiah Chavez earned himself a place on this Lobo football roster for the rest of his collegiate career.
And in Lobo football lore forever.
So that's what he did. He'll have a chance to show if he can be a weekly starting quarterback in that league.
Yeah, I look. I don't. We always have this idea of where quarterbacks got to come from and how quarterbacks have to get there. And I think we have that idea because when you look down the rosters of the majority of teams in the NFL, and I think we did this the other day, 3/4 of them were their starting quarterback was a first-round pick, right? Somewhere in the first round. And if not, it was like Derek Carr, first pick, second round, something like that. So there is kind of a model where quarterbacks come from. And then there's the Tony Romos, the Kurt Warner stories, who they just wait and get their chance and boom, or not even and Dak Prescott, right? I'm not sitting here telling you that's the guy. I'm sitting here telling you that what I watched this weekend was a guy who was impressive to a point where I want to see more. I'm not by any means telling you he's your starting quarterback next year, but I'm not telling you he's not. I'm telling you that on that roster as currently constructed, he's your starting quarterback. He's better than what they cut in Dwayne Haskins. And as much as I love the Alex Smith story, I got to believe he's done. Like he came back, and I think he proved everything he needed to prove, probably more so to himself, JJ, than to anybody else, that he could come back and do it on a level that got his team into the playoffs. But if you're that franchise, are you committing your future to a 37-year-old guy who had 17 surgeries on that leg and a calf injury on that same injured leg is what kept him out of the playoffs? You're not, right? You're absolutely not. You're thinking, what does the future look like? Where am I drafting? Well, we're drafted in the middle, so we're not getting one of those main guys. Do I want to go to a Mitchell Trubisky? Do I want to, or damn, look what I just got here. Maybe that's my guy. That's all I'm telling you. To me, there is no absolute. No. But I'm just as far away from absolutely not as I am absolutely yes. That's all I'm telling you.
They have an option, and sometimes that is the best thing to have when you have uncertainty.
No options.
And that's their quarterback room right now. Because they've moved on from Dwayne Haskins. They released him. Didn't work out. All right, so I have Heineke. We'll bring Kyle Allen back because Ron Very seems to like him, as an option.
He's not your answer.
He's not your answer. But so you have two guys saying, all right, these are who's going to be on our roster. We'll probably say farewell. Thank you so much, Alex Smith, for what you did this season. And then open it up because it's hard. And that's what a lot of these teams are doing. You're just trying to find a guy that with the pulse, see if it works, see how far he can go. It worked this season because that team defensively is set. They are ready to win at a high level if they can get a quarterback that can spark that offense.
There were two guys that were quarterbacks this weekend, right, who were not number one overall picks, right? I think the two of the eight teams that played, I think you had two guys, Russell Wilson, who was a third-round pick, and Taylor Heineke. Everybody else, Drew Brees, Phillip Rivers, Josh Allen, Jared Goff, who, when you say Jared Goff was your guy, John Wolford, but that's a whole other story. Drew Brees, Ryan Tannehill, Baker Mayfield, and Ben Roethlisberger. Everybody else.
Brees was a second-round pick, wasn't he?
Was he? Okay.
I think he was,
I guess you're right. All right, second-round pick. All right, we're going to
falls into that Carr mold, though. He's talent at the quarterback position.
So
always
you think
pushed
he
to
was?
The top, and that's what
Carr was first pick, second round, but he was second round logistically. All right, back to the phones. We come back. Keep them coming. 246-0610. Got a lot of NFL to talk about. We're going to remember Tommy Lasorda. We'll get you ready for the Ohio State-Alabama championship game this weekend. And at some point, we're going to get into what happened Friday night in Lubbock as well. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, head up off the middle, got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds, into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Portel.
The outside of running an out route. Davis and on the play action looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown. Back to toss, and he's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling. He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
We told you he
touchdown.
could spin that football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the wind at his back, but
creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the 3, and he buries it.
Coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right.
Super wild card weekend. Lamar Jackson got his first playoff win. You can stop with that rhetoric now. He looked pretty good. 20-13. They beat the Titans. We're down 10-0. And then came back on the road and win 20-13. Opening drive, Jeff Siembieda and J.J. Buck. Micah is your team captain. He's wearing this captain's C on his sweater today. He is producing on the radio side. Josh downtown producing, giving you the pictures on ProView Networks. You can watch us on our Facebook page, the OD in the AM. The number to get in, 505-246-0610. That's where Robert is. Robert, thanks for holding. Good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good day, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. Hey, which one was more disappointing, the Steelers losing or the Seahawks losing? I would think the Steelers would be, because they were 11-0 and they really shouldn't have lost to Cleveland. And then my other question is do you think Roethlisberger will retire? He looked awfully dejected last night, sitting there on the bench at the end of the game.
Quite contemplative, didn't you think? Just him sitting there staring at the stadium. It's one of those last picture kind of moments. However, afterwards he said he's going to think about it, and if that's where he comes, he hopes the Steelers want him back. He's got a year left on his contract. So,
yeah.
All right, Robert.
Yeah, that was crazy.
No, it was an odd moment. Thanks for the call, man. Don't be a stranger, JJ. My gut tells me that's not how he goes out. But as they showed those pictures, I don't know how you don't think, wow, is he just taking in one last look of the place where he's been for the last 18 years or 20 years or whatever it's been? I mean, that was a moment where when you see that, a guy who threw 4 interceptions, threw for 500 yards, 4 touchdowns, and they just get knocked out of the playoffs in the first round against an arch rival who they've owned in they started out 11-0, all the things that go into it. That picture of him sitting there was last last memory moment, right? I mean, how else did you interpret that at that moment?
It felt final, seeing him sit on the bench and just contemplate everything, soak it all in, even if it was a terrible moment. He was probably wondering, am I going to get this opportunity again? Am I going to quarterback a team in the playoffs again in my career? They're a team that has a lot of work to do. Their offensive line is bad, and join the club. And that's the issues you have when you have an aging quarterback, because he's not the Ben Roethlisberger of old. It's Father Time. Like, he's not the one that's going to be keeping plays alive like we've seen in the past, and it's evident. And if you're going to keep asking him to throw the football 50 times a game, I think it's ultimately going to be more of the same. Somehow, some way, they defied expectations, and they were 11-0. But they crashed fast and hard to end this season. I believe Ben Roethlisberger will be back to see out the final year of his contract. But I think it's also one where now that Steelers franchise is in a place they haven't had to be in since 2004. And that's actively going, who is the next quarterback of our team?
Taylor Heineke. Maybe Taylor Heineke can be their savior. He threw the ball 68 times last night. 68. And usually when you're throwing 68, you're losing because you're coming from behind and having to chuck the ball all over the yard. It was a very final moment. Do you remember, gosh, it's got to be 2 years ago right about now, when Glover Quinn announced his retirement. Glover Quinn, the former Lobo, played 10 years in the NFL with the Texans and with the Colts, right?
Lions.
Is that right? Lions, that's right. And he finished it out, and he told us on the show, and it's one of those things that just stick in your head. He said, I always knew I was going to play 10 years in the NFL. And he talked about his buddy in college. They talked about, I'm going to play 10 years. I'm going to put away my money. Glover's an incredibly cerebral, bright guy. He lived on 30% of his salary, put away his money to live the rest of his life, to do things on. But Glover said, I knew that was my last game. He said it was in Green Bay, if I'm not mistaken. And do you remember him talking about how he was out of the game at the end of the game and just was looking around and taking everything in because he knew, even though he hadn't made it public yet, he knew he was walking off the field for the last time. And he talked to us about how he took out his phone and he was taking pictures. Do you remember that? And he just absorbed it and took it in. And that kind of rang with me when I was looking at those pictures last night of Ben. I'm with you. I believe he's coming back for 1 year. I believe he's coming back for this year. Because he played pretty well. I mean, I get how he played yesterday, but I think he played pretty well this year. And if you surround him, I think he's still a quarterback that can do things. And I thought he had a terrific year coming off of that injury last year. But boy, it was hard to think otherwise, or hard not to think otherwise, when they showed that picture of a guy who had spent his whole career in that building. And he was, 39, 40 years old, whatever he is, sitting there and just soaking it in and looking around and seeing his arms move around. It was hard to think that wasn't the moment where he's like, yeah, this is it, man. This could be the last moment. This is that moment I need to take these pictures.
It had that feeling like this is the finale, this is finished. But with 1 year left on his deal, if you're the Steelers and he wants to come back, as we talk about options, as you figure out, hey, are we going to draft a guy somewhere? Are we going to bring in one of these players that hasn't popped? Is it a Jameis Winston? Is it Josh Rosen? Names that will be floating out there potentially.
Well,
and it says, well, I guess we'll have Ben if he wants to be back, but it's one and done. So whether it or not that was the last time, he's got 16 games, maybe more than that, in his Pittsburgh career, if he feels up to it.
The wild card to me in this whole thing, in everything, and we're going to get into it, is Deshaun Watson. Because if I'm every team except for Kansas City, Seattle, the Cardinals, the Bills, I guess the Chargers and the Bengals. Every other team. You got another one? That is so secure a quarterback for the future that they're not calling and taking and testing the waters and see what it's going to take to get Deshaun Watson?
Just how upset is Deshaun Watson is the major question of the offseason.
Yeah, I think typically when a guy is going to be traded, you get a guy on your roster and he hasn't demanded it yet, but it feels like that's where we're going, where he's demanding a trade. Teams come in and you get low ball because they know you got to trade. This, to me, seems different, where I think there's going to be a bidding war, because I do believe Deshaun Watson is going to say, I want out. I do. And I think you're going to have, what are there, 32 teams in the NFL? I think you have 20 teams call and make offers. And I think 24 of them should. That's coming up next. Where's best? Because I think you can paint me a scenario all over the map in the National Football League on what Houston should listen to and who should go in and make an offer. It's the opening drive. We're on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Mucinex.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Get a little closer. Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass. Here's what he'll just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's going to fire at the buzzer, and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much. Tie in the district. Inside, fly, Eagles.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this. Stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Said that anything better. He answered the question.
On
got
a
another
steal
one
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Vista, but just all the different scenarios we can see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Melfi can cash it in. He's got some protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy. And it's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
Hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles. Look out. Chavez up the sideline. Stays in bounds. Touchdown. Volcanovis.
That replay, I got you. Measurement. I mean,
Smith's got a fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. Dance into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
Run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. Looking to throw it. and he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11. And spin move for Smith. Push the B button. Dance into the end zone.
Throw it. Looking. Here comes the rush. Stepping up. Pavia now running around. Being chased. Looks across. Throws it up and wide open. Ball is caught. Touchdown. Siembieda. Dropping, looking, stepping up. He's going to run. He's got a lot of green in front of him. To the end zone. Touchdown. Rio Rancho, Isaiah Chavez. Chavez set. He's going to run with it again and dives and...
It's Austin Smith, and to the outside, a lot of room. Look out, a foot race down the sideline. All the way on the first play from scrimmage, Chris. That's a touchdown.
We watched really good young quarterbacks on the biggest stage. Super wild card weekend this weekend. We watched Josh Allen continue to grow his legend in Buffalo. We watched Lamar Jackson win his first ever playoff game with the Baltimore Ravens. We watched Jared Goff come off the bench with a broken thumb on the road and lead his team to victory as the Rams won 30-20. Next week we'll watch Patrick Mahomes continue to go, but it's a young quarterback who is considered maybe second in line in that whole group that I just listed to you, who probably is the wild card going into the offseason of the National Football League. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda and J.J. Buck. Micah at Radio Ranch downtown, and Josh producing for you on the ProView Networks. J.J., the Deshaun Watson situation in Houston is getting tenser, it feels, by the day. That he's on vacation, wherever he is in this COVID world on vacation. God bless him. I'm envious, and I wish I too could go on vacation, but whatever he's found, he's found. He's not answering the calls. Evidently, the story goes that the Texans told him that he would be involved in the searches and the conversations for their general manager, their head coach, and he was not. He's upset to the point where he's angry. I read one description where when they traded Nuke Hopkins, JJ, his anger level was a 2 out of 10 and is currently a 10. My gut tells me he's going to want out for a number of reasons. A, he feels disrespected, and B, does he want to go through a rebuild? And that's where that franchise is. And so to me, he is wild card for every franchise in the National Football League. And, you know, when we talk, like everybody we're talking about, you're talking about the Bears. Well, what can they trade for Deshaun Watson? Well, Ben Roethlisberger, was that it? Well, wouldn't you make a call if you're them? Like I told you, JJ, I don't know how you feel about this. If I'm almost any team besides the Bills, the Ravens, the Chiefs, the Chargers, the Cardinals, the Seahawks. Gosh, Aaron Rodgers is 100 years old. Like, do you got anybody else? Are you throwing Baker Mayfield in as secure? Like, everybody else, to me, should be calling and putting a package together and throwing it at the Texans.
Start throwing those darts, see what you can hit. And if I'm Houston, you have to come out of a trade. If you trade Deshaun Watson with no less than 2 first-round picks and a boatload of second and third-round picks,
and
like no less, bare minimum, and just if you move on from Deshaun, then it is a complete overhaul, and you need picks on picks on picks. And then you start thinking, who is in that position to sacrifice the first round the next 2 years for an established commodity? Because this is the difference. You're not guessing on it. You'd have to say, if you're Chicago, if you're Washington, you know, teams like that were just in the playoffs, you saw really good defensive performances, and you go, all right, we might not have a first round pick for the next 2 years. Probably have to give up seconds and thirds along the way. But we know we'll have the best quarterback in the division. Is it worth it?
So, yeah, in a lot of respects. If you've got a team there, that's why Indianapolis jumps to me. I just don't know that their picks are going to be high enough. The Jets, I think, are the team to try. But again, they need everything, including, you know, to me, they need everything more than they need a quarterback. But again, this is that quarterback. This is to me, and I think you agree with me, this is the guy that's the difference maker. This isn't trading for Sam Darnold. This is trading for a guy that everybody believes the top 4 or 5 young quarterback in the league, right?
Yeah, and there hasn't been a situation like this. We've seen guys move, but it's usually the fringe guys, whether it's a Kirk Cousins, middle tier, or maybe
Jim Garoppolo.
Get a spark and just be a little bit better. This is a dude that has the talent to be in the top tier in the NFL. There hasn't been a situation like this. I haven't seen one. I was looking, I'm like, when was the last time we saw something like this? We're talking prime quarterback on the market potentially, and we haven't seen it in a long time.
And this is, if you're the Bears, you're packaging something. Hell, if you're the Steelers, you're trying to figure out what you can do. And I think if you're the Texans, I told you this is the last segment. Typically, if you get a guy who's demanding a trade, you're going to get lowballed because everybody knows you got to move him. To me, in this situation, you have a freaking bidding war because like I said, I think you got 20 bids coming in, and you take the top 3 and up them more. And you get a Herschel Walker type trade on this thing, right? If you're Houston, how do you come out? How do you turn this horrible situation into something that's going to be positive? And that's what this new general manager is going to have to do now. Because to me, you do everything you can to ease this, but if you can't, you should be getting a Herschel Walker type trade on this. Ray, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Ray.
How's it going, guys?
Good. How you living?
Hey, let me throw this at you, Jeff. I'm a Raider fan. How about Derek Carr for Watson and a first-round pick? Because the new general manager is from New England, right?
Yep.
He's going to want to get a He's going to want to get a coach that's going to be running almost the same offense as New England. That's where he's from. And it's going to be a drop-back passer. It's not going to be someone. That's going to be someone like Tom Brady.
Maybe.
So I just want to throw that out to you and see what you think about that. Hey, I think the Lobos might have found a point guard in that guy from North Carolina. Once he came in, it looked like the offense was a little more aggressive, and he was going closer to the hoop instead of just staying on the outside and running that weave that they do back and forth. It looked like he was aggressive and trying to get into the paint and dish off. Let me know what you think.
All right, I agree with you on Francis, and we're going to go there. JJ, I'm not sure. Because the GM's from New England, that's what they're going to go with. I think Derek Carr in a first is a nice start. But I think you're going to have to throw a boatload more into that because your first isn't going to be where they want to pick. It's going to be this year's first, next year's first, and probably your third and fourth this year. And I just don't, it's a nice start, Derek Carr and a first-round pick, but you're going to have to sweeten that boat.
If I'm trading Deshaun Watson, I don't want to take on a quarterback salary. Because you are saying we are rebuilding, and I don't want to be hamstrung with another $100 million quarterback on the roster. Even if
you'd rather have Marcus Mariota.
I'm talking like, all right, you want picks, cool, but I don't want to take your expensive quarterback that you don't want.
So you'd rather have Marcus Mariota to get you through next year and go with a cheap quarterback salary and a guy to throw out there while you're trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and so that's why I think it's going to be hard for teams to get in this race if they have a high-priced quarterback like the Raiders. Sure, it sounds good, but if I'm Houston, that's just not my train of thought. Like, if anything, okay, you want to give me a quarterback in the last couple of years of his rookie deal, a la Sam Darnold, I'd rather take that than acquiring a huge salary when Deshaun Watson's moving on. You got to just be reconsidering everything.
All right, let's get David in before the break. David, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, David.
Hello. A couple of things. I think you guys are missing the point. Teams ultimately have things going for them, good or bad, including coaching, skill players, and how the team plays. On the other side, going about getting a quarterback particularly is a product of three things: draft, free agency, and or trade. The question is, Watson out of Houston is way too expensive. 20 teams competing for him is ridiculous. The minute you get into a bidding war, if you're a show manager or an owner, you say, look, it's too expensive. I think 4 or 5 teams at best would go after Watson. Ultimately, Jeff, you were comparing the guy at Washington to whatever, I forget who, but he's a better comparison to Tomzak, who, if the caller before was correct, he's good for 1 year, but then gets exposed.
We don't know.
I mean, and ultimately the reason Watson is so good is because he's a proven commodity. But how many proven commodities have flamed out because the team is bad or the coaching is bad? In fact, last thing, Herschel Walker, ironically, was traded to Dallas, ultimately for everything in Minnesota. And you know what happened? Minnesota misused him. And ironically, he ended up back at Dallas.
Okay. No, I appreciate it. And David, thank you. So, first of all, I made the comparisons, the Heineke thing to Kurt Warner to Dak Prescott. I look, everything. Didn't I preface it 15 times by saying nothing's absolute on Tyler Heineke? He may be those guys or he may not be. I have no idea. None. That's why I'm not absolute. I'm not making that assumption on one game. Secondly, Deshaun Watson right now is not that expensive. And when he gets to be that expensive, it's going to be market value because he's going to be worth it because you're going to have a top 5 quarterback in the league. Isn't that what every team in the league is looking for?
Yes.
So why is he too expensive? If you can fill your future at that position with a 24-year-old, 25-year-old quarterback who's going to be top 5 in the league, why is he too expensive?
I don't think he is. It's a proven commodity. We all know that. Everyone is saying that, and that's the difference in this trade versus other quarterback trades.
505-246-0610. Keep them coming. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610 Sports Animal and ProView Networks.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide coaches award program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little spin and a finish. Natalia Chavez, good spin. Takes it.
Here's Ramos. Nice jump stop through the...
Play with gambling a little bit. Oh, there's a...
Hill, little step, high window, and a...
Got the second. Here we go, 3.9. It's Cooper's going to run with it. Cooper's going to swing it out to Lowry. Lowry, Portillo couldn't get it off, and Clovis. It's waved off. He did not get it off in time. Portillo.
Reverse layup. Gallegos spins, window, finishes.
There's a run coming from
lazy pass. Here comes Crawford. It might be showtime.
The throw. Steps up, pocket collapsing. He escapes. He's to the 40-yard line. 35-30. Lamar Jackson to the 20. Leg raise 10-5. And he's pushed out of bounds at the 1-yard line. No! Signal is touchdown. Lamar Jackson.
When you're Lamar Jackson, it's not a foot race. It's a leg race. Lamar Jackson was very, very good. Threw that first interception, and they got down 10-0, and you're thinking, uh-oh. Here we go. The narrative gets a little thicker, but Lamar was able to win. I don't know that he was great. He was fine. He threw for 179, ran for 136 and a touchdown as the Ravens beat the Titans in Tennessee, a revenge game, and then stomped on the logo, JJ. Stomped on the logo and made mockery of the Tennessee Titans Nashville logo as they stared, posed, and did everything but urinate on the logo.
Two teams that don't like each other, and you saw it on the football field. I will say Lamar Jackson was great yesterday because he did what makes him special. Yes, bad throw, the interception, pass was behind the receiver, but he was explosive. He made good plays with his legs. He didn't turn the football over after that. And how about that Ravens defense just stifle Derrick Henry? And you're just waiting. Like, this is the game plan. Just keep handing it off. And he'll finally bust one for 60 or 70 yards. It never happened. And while it wasn't the most exciting game like I expected, people thought there were going to be points on points on points. It was a really good game because of the way Lamar Jackson responded, and Tennessee was still right there. And you want to talk about questions, it's 4th and 2. You're on the plus side of the 50. You punt the football in the fourth quarter. That is why I am always going to be on the side of being aggressive. You win when you have the football, not trying to play field position.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I thought there were a number of questionable coaches' calls on going for it on 4th down. If you'd have told me that the Ravens would score 20, that the Tennessee defense was going to be able to hold them to just 20 points, I'd have told you I thought Tennessee would win. I thought the Ravens would win the game, but I thought they were going to need more than 20 to win, and I was wrong in that situation. It's the opening drive. Jeff Siembieda and JJ Buck. Micah produces on the radio side, and Josh producing on the ProView Network side. You could watch it on our Facebook page, the OD in the AM. Let's go to the phones. It's area code 505-246-0610, and your emails have been coming in this morning, and I'll get to those as well. Jeff at 610knml.com. Edward, good morning. Happy Monday. Thomas Edward Brady advances, and so I guess there was some sort of cake going on at the Edward Castle.
Yeah. Yes, indeed. We had to lower the drawbridge on the moat and allow visitors into the castle. And I'm waiting for one more playoff game win for Thomas Edward Brady, which has a significant amount of credence. And if they happen to win this weekend, which I'm not sure they will, they probably won't. But I'm wanting to get that 30-second playoff victory, and there's a reason why, and you could probably guess. I can tell you real quick, unless you want to be held in suspense. If he gets his 30-second playoff victory, he doubles the amount that Joseph Montana had, doubled it. Which and Montana was phenomenal. He was the greatest of his era, for sure. Yeah. But Brady's lapped the field. He's lapped the field. And if he somehow gets to the NFC title game, which again I'm not sure will happen.
Or the NFC.
I don't think they're going to win the game. I don't think they're going to go to New Orleans and win. But if he happens to get to it, what a significant accomplishment. By the way, he has 7 playoff victories against NFC opponents. Drew Brees in his career picked up his 8th playoff victory against NFC opponents yesterday. So that just shows you how he's lapped the field. Anyway, I completely and wholeheartedly agree with JJ. Your best chance to win is when you have the ball. It sounds simple and succinct, but this old adage of let's play the field position game, let's rely on our defense, let's punt and pin them down deep, that's an archaic thought process. That's almost like Parcells. Hey, let's run it 3 times and gain 3 yards on every play, and control the clock. The game has evolved, and these coaches that repeatedly punt the ball and give it to dynamic quarterbacks, they're begging to lose. We see it with the Kansas City Chiefs all the time. The Kansas City Chiefs are in the red zone. They're in scoring position the minute they get the ball.
That's right.
Quite honestly, the minute they get the ball, they're in scoring position. So you could play that game and you're going to lose. I thought Super Wildcard Weekend was a smashing success. I can't wait to see the ratings. I do say that next year the NFL will incorporate an 8th team and not give any buys. But let me say this, the 2 number 1 seeds got significant breaks this weekend.
No doubt.
We were my son and I were rooting for Pittsburgh, so Pittsburgh can go win, beat Cleveland, because I thought the Browns were going to Brown again, and then just go get smashed by Buffalo and let the Chiefs contend with Baltimore. Well, that didn't happen. Now Baltimore is going to go dogfight with Buffalo all weekend, and I believe the Chiefs are going to win by 3 scores. They're going to get a layup against the Browns. On the NFC side, Green Bay, I was rooting for the Bears because I wanted Tampa to play the Rams.
So
the Rams, they've had a great season, but Donald got hurt. I believe he has an oblique injury. Cooper Kupp got hurt. He probably won't play. And they have a quarterback that's 2 weeks removed from a broken thumb. I think the Green Bay Packers got a significant break with that matchup with the Rams. And Tampa and New Orleans are going to fight it out. You know, they're going to battle it out. And it's going to be a dogfight. But, you know, that's the way the pins drop. Lastly, when I was in high school, my basketball coach said, you know, I kind of challenged him on some things. He said, Ed, why don't you go to college, earn your degree, and then you can come and make the decisions, right? And he goes, do you want to be a playboy, or do you want to be a stud, or do you want to be a great basketball player? And I said, all of the above. But the point I'm saying that is Deshaun Watson, I'm a huge fan, and I'd love to see him on the Patriots. But you know what? I understand keeping a healthy, cohesive employee group and taking input, but his being upset, who cares? You're an employee. We talked about this last week. You're in a corporate environment. And so what if you get upset? You're an employee. You get paid a copious amount of money to perform. Stay in your lane. Do your job. Right?
Well,
do your job.
But what if they told him they were going to bring him in? That's why he's upset.
Right. That's
they
right.
He presented him the option. So it's different in this case. Like, don't tell him that. Like, I'm totally
and then not keep your word.
Don't say, hey, Deshaun, we want your input. We want you to be a bigger part of this franchise, and then completely go back on it.
I agree, and that's where he has the gripe, you know, the legitimate gripe, right? Because they went back on their word, and I get that. But still, at the end of the day, you are an employee, and the corporate environment changes rapidly and quickly. And, yeah, we'll let you vent for a while, but then you're going to get on board. And that's a conversation that needs to have early. If not, trade him to the Dolphins, pick him a bunch of picks, take on Tua, and rebuild your culture, and you go from there. So I'm not steadfast on one way or the other, but this, you see it from other athletes. Maybe Deshaun's not the perfect example, where they gripe and they complain about the work environment.
Yeah, look.
And you know what? Go earn billions of dollars, start your own franchise, then you could be the key decision maker like Michael Jordan. See how it goes for you.
All right,
gentlemen, have a great day.
That's good. Thank you. So I agree with him usually on this, JJ, but I'm with you because typically, remember when LeBron, who was it? Was it the hiring when the Lakers hired, and was LeBron included? And there was more chatter, not necessarily from him. And maybe that's not the best scenario. There's players all the time who gripe, and I'm with you. This is a franchise who, by every account, the ownership came to him and unsolicitedly and said, we want your input on this. We want to talk to you about it. And then when made a move and flat out just went back on their word. So that's why he's upset. This is right after they traded the guy who, I don't know, is Nuke Hopkins the best receiver in the NFL? He's pretty damn close, isn't he? So they took away his biggest weapon. They went out and they stunk this year. They were horrible. They gutted the team, and now you're telling me, all right, you're bringing up, you want my input? All right, cool, I appreciate that. And then why tell me that if you're not going to do it? Now, did they owe him his input? No. But once they told him that, then they owed it to him. And now here he is just going, you know what, I'm done. Like, you people aren't honest with me. I hate the direction you're going. Yeah, you're paying me a boatload of money, but I don't want to be here anymore because we can't win. And his point, you know, the Miami thing is interesting because to your point where you don't want to bury money in a quarterback, I don't know that you think that you've got to completely restart. And if you can get a young quarterback, Tua, and a bunch of draft picks and get started, like Miami's the one where you start going, they got some high picks. They got a young quarterback. It's not a big salary quarterback. Like the Miami one is one that I really like.
And if you're Miami, you have to seriously consider that.
Damn
you're
right.
going all right, we like Tua. We invested in him because we think he can be something, but you know what Deshaun Watson is. And if you put Deshaun Watson on that team that just won 10 games with quarterback roulette, Tua, 3, 18, maybe your next 2 second-round picks, that's a heck of a deal to potentially say we know what we're going to be and we can compete now with Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills in that division. So it's on the table. It's unlike any quarterback trade we've seen in a long time where teams with, we think, established quarterbacks, not as good as Deshaun Watson, but if you assume you're Miami, like, all right, we're feeling pretty good about ourselves. Another year for Tua to feel pretty good. Let's go invest. There hasn't been many Deshaun Watsons out there. And ultimately, to Edwards' point, I get it, and I would agree with him. There's that separation. Players play, front office does their thing. But you know what kind of toxicity that's going to create across the roster, not just with Deshaun Watson, but if you have a franchise that's reaching out and saying, yeah, we want you to be the face. It's not J.J. Watt anymore. It's Deshaun Watson. And just what ideas? What do you want? What do you like? And then just completely ignore that. That sets a bad precedent. Ultimately, can you move on? Sure. But you can't just sit there and say, oh, front office can do whatever they want. You're an employee. Be quiet. When you have that, you reach out. It's that simple. Like, why would you want to upset your best player and your locker room like that?
Don't offer to bring the man into the fold and then turn your back on him. You don't owe that to him until you tell him that he's part of it, and then you owe it to him. Right? I mean, it's really that simple. Like the franchise do it all the time, and we're the front office. We're going to hire who we want, but don't offer it to him, and then turn your back on him. Back to the phones when we get back. We're going to get into the Rams win. We'll get into the Lobos loss on Friday night as well on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Safeguard against germs this cold and flu season. Safeguard hand soap with micellar deep cleansing washes away.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's going to walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly. Cardinals fly. To the other side. Provides some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown. Webskowski. Day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man! Touchdown! Wild catch! Not a defender inside.
A little bit.
Kowski on the sideline! Asta Manana, he's off to the races! Touchdown, Clovis!
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24, Rancho. late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabs. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it home.
They motion Metcalf to the left side, away from Ramsey again. Throw the bubble. It's picked. It's picked. Darius Williams jumped it, and he's going to house it. A pick six, a defensive touchdown, and the Rams extend their lead.
Rams radio. Defense was good. Started John Wolford because Jared Goff had just had thumb surgery 12 days earlier. 3 pins inserted into his throwing thumb. John Wolford got broken neck injury. It was so reminiscent of the hit that broke Tony Romo finally. The last hit Tony Romo, didn't it remind you a little of that? Not like the most vicious hit, but just one of those where the quarterback just sat there for a while and you knew something wasn't right. It was that they really reminded me of that hit. And then Jared Goff came off the bench and the Rams beat Seattle 30-20. It's the opening drive. Jeff, JJ, Micah, and Josh. We're going to the phones here in a second, so Brian, stand by. But I thought Jared Goff showed a lot. Jared Goff is what Jared Goff is. Times Jared Goff is very nice, and times he's golful. But I thought he did what he needed to do within himself. I thought Sean McVay called a nice game. The defense really, really played well. And they did what they needed to do to get a road win. But Goff coming off the bench, I thought that was a big moment for him.
Cam Akers, tremendous performance. He was huge to allow Goff to just be that guy to get by on Saturday. I don't know what was more surprising. I think it's in my mind just to see Cleveland run away with it, or how bad Russell Wilson looks when he played the Rams this season. Yeah. They have his number. That Rams defense is really good, but there's just something about it. They take away everything that Seattle wants to do. It's like, all right, DK Metcalf scored twice, but you were chasing that game. It never really felt like they were going to get over that hump in that contest. In the last 5 meetings, so the 2 regular season games and then the playoffs this past weekend, Russell Wilson is 2-3 against the Rams. And we talk so much about Russell Wilson and having that guy, and that's going to be the difference in the league. And they had him in neutral, and it was a bad game from Russ.
It's an interesting division because the Rams kind of have the Seahawks number, the 49ers own the Rams. It's a really interesting dynamic that's going on with the coaches, the young coaches, and then there's Pete Carroll, who's 69 in that division. All right, let's go. 505-246-0610. Brian, thank you for holding. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Brian.
Hey, good morning, Jeff. How are you, man?
Good. How you doing, Brian?
Hey, doing good this morning. It's always good to join you guys. Hey, man, I just wanted to chime in on the Deshaun Watson drama here because I think my team could benefit from having him. I'm a Denver Broncos fan, born and raised a Denver Broncos fan, and I think we have a situation similar to Miami, except we don't have as awesome of picks, of course. They got a nice haul of picks there, but we got a top 10 pick this year, and we'll probably have a top 10 pick next year, unfortunately. We have a second-round pick this year, and then we could, Drew Lock isn't horrible. He's not great either, but he's someone that maybe Houston, if they use the right people, they could maybe, turn him into something good, or at least try it out while you guys were saying maybe two of the same thing. They could see what he's got and try to figure it out while they figure it out. So I don't know.
What if Brian? Yeah, let me ask you this because I brought up Denver I brought up Denver on Friday. What if you? Because I think he's a great fit there. I just don't think they have enough. What if you started with your first-round pick, Drew Lock, and Von Miller?
I mean, I missed Von Miller last year 100%. I mean, I'm not one of the Broncos fans that is against Locke. I mean, I thought he had moments. If he could put those moments together and be more consistent, I mean, our upper management has said that time and time again. Our head coach has said if Locke becomes more consistent, yeah, he'd be great. But I will say, like you guys are also saying, that you got a known commodity in Deshaun Watson, and he's only 25.
That's right.
So, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, Von Miller would solidify the defense and team up with Chubb. But, I mean, when you got a kid that is just lights out, has been lights out since he won the national championship with Clemson, and all he's done in Houston is be a model citizen in Houston. He's been great in the community. He's been great with the team. Hasn't caused them any problems. I mean, he would be really good no matter where he goes, honestly.
Yep. All right, Brian, don't be a stranger. Thanks for the call. It's good to hear you. JJ, I brought up Denver last week because I think, I mean, again, I think there's 20 teams that he'd be a great fit. But again, I think that's where the price tag is. It's going to be your best defensive player, the guy you think it's too much.
Well, no, I don't think if this is Madden, Von Miller might do it, but I don't think if you're Houston, you're already kind of dealing with that with J.J. Watt right now. Injuries, $100 million contract, a lot of money, and Von Miller's been good, but he also didn't play last year because he popped a tendon in his ankle. And I think if I'm the Houston Texans in this deal, I do not want to take on any large salaries.
What about Bradley Chubb?
I'm intrigued by potentially a Bradley Chubb. I push for things like that. I don't know if I want to send that the other way, but I'm intrigued by a Drew Lock and a top 10 pick to start. I'm intrigued by these young guys because that's where I'd want to start if I'm Houston. It's not just bring in someone that we know is okay, but $100 million, and do I want Derek Carr right now? Do I want a Carson Wentz? No, give me options. Like, let me get by this season, and then let me see what all these picks turn into.
Unfortunately for Denver, if that's the scenario they go, I just think Miami, if they got into that game, would have a better package to offer than the Denver would.
Because they have 3-18 this year right now, plus
and Tua.
Quarterback.
Do you want Tua or you want
Tua.
Lock?
And that is a huge price to pay. But also, if you're sitting there at Miami, it's not like you're giving up, say, 7-8 years of Tua for 3 years of
Drew Lock,
Stafford, or Matt Ryan at the end. It's like you can get 10 more years out of Deshaun Watson and being a pretty darn good quarterback in this league.
Yeah, no, I think that's right, and that's where there's so many places that fit, and this is where I think Houston is in the seat where, all right, I don't want to get rid of him, but if I'm going to, damn, I'm taking a haul. I mean, I'm getting everything I can get, and everybody's going to throw all kinds of crazy packages at me, and let me listen to all the crazy packages. I'm going to take the craziest. And it might, and by the way, I'm going to look at the craziest and I'm going to add to it. Because if they're already that crazy that they're giving me that one more little piece, they're not going to balk at it because they want this guy so badly. Lance, good morning. How you feeling? You're on the opening drive.
Oh, God, I had to go on after Edwards, so I hung up earlier, but good call by him anyway. But anyway, Denver, well, wait a minute. I want to go to something yesterday. Josh Allen, the line pulls. Okay, and they stop at the line of scrimmage, and Josh Allen jumps up and throws it to the back of the end zone. That's the Tebow play. Okay, I mean, the idiot announcer, that was a designed run. It wasn't a designed run, or the lineman would have kept going. They pulled. So I'm sick of people that never played knowing what the heck's going on. But anyway, watching Ben down there, instead of staring at smokestacks down your window, in Pittsburgh, go to Denver for a year before you retire. Find a retirement home out there, a big old beautiful place where you could live. Always probably just a mile away. Go ahead, do a Peyton Manning, because Drew Lock's a punk. He's not a leader. He's a great football player, but he's not a leader. And Rivers, these two guys have beaten themselves up for so long and are very good football players. Go to a team like Denver with a bunch of young guys and get in there and work your butt off and make them work their butts off and go to a Super Bowl. And The last guy, it's like, no, we were not looking for another long-term quarterback. Locke's really good, you know, but he's not a leader. He needs to learn how to be a leader. And that's my thing. And Mike Tomlin, are you still there?
Yeah.
He's a terrible coach. You know, 4th and inches, and you punt it away on their 45, and you're on a roll. He's done that junk his whole career. Big Ben should have like 4 more rings. Everybody says, oh, Mike Tomlin, I guess because it's politically correct. I don't know. But he's a terrible coach.
All right.
You know, and I just, he's a good football player, yeah. You know, but that was a terrible
All right, yeah, bad call.
Yesterday,
yeah, bad call.
And I don't blame it on Big Ben. That was the momentum.
He only threw 4
point of the
interceptions.
Game. There's always one point of the game to where you got to pull through, and he didn't pull through for his team.
All right, Lance, I'm glad you're feeling better, man. Good to hear you. First of all, Tom, I didn't like the call, but I don't think he's a horrible coach. Ben threw 4 interceptions yesterday, JJ?
Yes, he did.
And the answer for the Broncos is get Ben Roethlisberger or Phillip Rivers for a year.
I'm going to
down with that. You take Ben for a year. Would you take? All right. Let's say you don't get Deshaun Jackson or Deshaun Watson. Would you take Ben next year for a year or continue to develop Drew Lock? If you could have 1 year with Ben.
I run with Drew Lock one more time.
Because you don't think the rest of the team's good enough to make a difference.
I think at some point you got to move on from
being a
what they were
retirement home
trying
for quarterbacks.
to do. Yeah, being a retirement home for quarterbacks. And then Ben Roethlisberger. I don't think Pittsburgh is going to release Ben Roethlisberger, and you're not trading for Ben Roethlisberger.
Nope, not with that number. Not with that number. All right, we're back to the phones when we get back. 505-246-0610. I got emails at some point I better get to. Jeff at 610knml.com. JJ at 610knml.com. Happy day after Super Wild Card Weekend. It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
There's a long 3.
Boom.
Bang. Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go. His
Ford driving kick. 3's in the air. It's good. Pass on the nice block by Hernandez Cropper.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalon's going to go when he puts it away. And Corbalon wants to put it down. Screeches Brown, you can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Gershon in transition, 3-on-2. Gershon going to go all the way. Whoa, Morgan. Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot up by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
With his first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveras. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hiron. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hiron. The two-hand hammer by Hiron. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District mashup there.
Davidson took it away in transition.
Utah State will watch the final 3 ticks come off the clock. Bairstow dribbles it out. Aggies win it 82-46.
Yeah, then there was that. And it was exciting as Rob made it sound. Robert Portnoy, UNM Radio Network, 82-46. You know, Friday was a crappy day. Like Saturday, I'm going to tell you, we're going to the phones here in a minute. Saturday was like as cool as one of the greatest days. I did a little TV thing with the Gladiators and Mayor Keller and Momaestas and took Addie with me. We talked about the state of sports and coming back, and so Addie got to come with me and see some of that, and then we got some Wex and came back, and we broke out. I got 3 crates of records in the garage, and I realized probably the reason I kept them all these years was to one day sit down and listen to them with my daughter, and so we jammed and listened to old records, watched the Rams win, the Aztecs won. Saturday was a great day. Friday, Tommy Lasorda died, and the Lobos got beat 82-46. Like, what a crummy day around here Friday was, huh?
Yes, for what you're invested in as a sports fan, what matters around here, what so many people have grown up with. You know, Tommy Lasorda, what he means to Albuquerque baseball, Dodger baseball, the connection that the community has, the figure that he became throughout his career. I kind of had the same exact weekend as you. Saturday, we went up to the mountains, did some sledding in the morning, just great day with the fam, sat down, and I was re-energized for the rest of the weekend.
Yeah. And then, you know, when teams you're invested in a little, right? I mean, the Rams get that victory. See how the Aztecs won with the last second shot late Saturday night? Had some bourbon going. It was a decent day.
That Nevada backcourt something. And Sherfield and Cambridge get buckets, and sometimes you just need 1 or 2 guys that can do that. And hey, it changes entire complexion of your squad.
That's right. 505-246-0610. Hello, Ray. Thanks for holding, man. You're on the opening drive. Good morning.
Well, good morning. Hey, it was a terrible sports weekend for me starting Friday with the Lobo loss, and then my Pittsburgh Steelers last night. Boy, where do I start? But anyway, start with the Lobos. You know, pandemic or no, out of state or no, if you're Eddie Nunez, you got to start having the contract settlement talks with Paul Weir's attorneys. I realize there's a buyout, but even, you know, a smart guy like Weir understands that he hasn't gotten the job done, and he's not the most unreasonable guy around. So you never know what you might end up with as far as a settlement. And you never know. The School of Management might want him to teach that class. I mean, you know, what a good way to let him down easy. I like the guy. He just hasn't gotten it done. In terms of a comparison going forward, it'll be interesting to see how Mike Bradbury manages the Lobo women, to see if they can, put together any kind of a season, to see if they can maybe go 500. I think it'd be a valid comparison going forward. As for my Steelers, I've been the biggest supporter of Ben Roethlisberger, but Ben's got one huge thing working against him right now. He just can't move back there. And I think it's finally caught up to him. Other years, he was able to drift out of the pocket and buy time because he felt the pressure coming. But this year, he's in his own head a little bit, and I think part of it has to do with the offensive coordinator and the lack of creativity in the offense. He's been preached at to get rid of the ball in 2.5 seconds or less. And that's not going to afford much time for receivers to get open down the field. But and so he's in his own head a little bit there. Another thing that Steelers fans would notice down the stretch of the season regarding Ben is that he started to aim the ball early in games. He's kind of like a baseball pitcher that's lost command of the strike zone. He's sort of shot putting it, sort of short arming it, but when he still has the arm.
A little Phillip Rivers,
cut loose. And later in games, he's cutting loose. So those are the things with Ben. Now, in terms of Mike Tomlin not going for it on the 4th down at the 46-yard line, that was a long 1 yard, and the defense. It wasn't just a few inches. It was a long yard.
But look at the position where they were. They're down 13 going into the 4th quarter.
There was plenty of time left. There was 18 minutes left in that game.
Yeah, there were 15 minutes left. Yeah. It was the start of the quarter.
I think it was toward the end of the 3rd, wasn't it? Or you may be right.
It was the first play of the 4th quarter.
Okay, I beg your pardon then. But there was still time.
Yeah.
It was a long yard. The defense had just come off of 2 3-and-outs.
That's right. They had.
And so I think that was his thinking. So I can't, while Mike Tomlin, he's not a great coach, he's a good coach. He's not an X's and O's guy. He needs coordinators. His offensive coordinator stunk this year, absolutely stunk. And I got to believe the guy will be replaced. He's at the end of his contract.
They're going to make moves. They're going to make moves, Ray. All right. Hey, enjoy.
I think they are too.
Enjoy the week. It gets better. First world problems for a crummy weekend, but I get it. I've been there before. But thanks for the call, Ray.
Thanks,
All
guys.
right. Be well. So Ray called at 2460610. So JJ, I mean, look, when we're judging it, like Ralph just sent me a text to make his super wild card weekend even better than mine. He said, in addition to the Rams and Aztecs, there was huge surf this weekend. So look, I got old records, hung out with my kid, Rams win and huge surf. What makes it any better than that? Look, first world problems. I'm still going to go the other way on the Steelers. 4th down, I think you got to go for it. I do. You have all the momentum. I think you got to go for it on 4th and 1 there. I understand why he went the other way, but I would have gone for it.
You have to go for it in that situation. Because where were you on the football field when you were
around
going
midfield, 46-yard line, somewhere like that.
Okay, and so you're going to get the ball back in a better position or the same position if you stop them? The same or worse position after punting? Because even if you down
but you didn't get it back.
The 8-yard line, you stop them, you punt it, you're going to be at the same exact spot in the field. So why not just go for it at that point in time instead of opening yourself up to the point of not getting it back and giving it more points?
And in reality, they rammed it down your throat and they scored and they put the game away. I mean, I know it wasn't over then, but it was over then. If that makes sense.
So that's where it gets frustrating when you talk about the field position game. If you're anywhere near midfield, you're not getting the ball in a better position if you punt and stop them, because they're going to punt it right back, and you're going to have to start, at best case scenario, the same spot or even further back.
Yeah. All right, keep them coming. 505-246-0610. Ray brought up the Lobos on Friday. We'll get into that too. They lose 82-46, their second straight 30-plus point loss to Utah State. And now what? It's the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal and ProView Networks.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Opportunity here. Martinez shoots, he scores. Cut into it. Had some nice looks at the rim. Win. Inside. They're not going to miss this one. Two-hand hammer for Murillo. Ball's played up. Rodriguez with it. Going to settle. Looks to the inside. Comes to the far side foot. Shot on in. Goal. Deflected in. No.
Dorian's going to go all the way. It was blocked by the rim. Get it out, says Kobe Wade. Ramos. Got it. Look out. Ramos, can he chase it down? It was a freebie. Saved it. And then stolen. And somehow Hasbury's got it back. Handoff. Watson.
Get it stripped. Calion stripped him. Compiling the other way. Win up top to the big goal. Here he comes.
For the lead. Got it. What a great game plan. Look at this.
Agbayosi throws it down.
Ramos, rise and fire. He's fouled.
You know, he used to coach for Del Norte. And
Here's Voss all the way with the finish. He'll get the. Behind the back of the dribble. Trying to go up with the right hand. He changed hands in midair. And hotting it. Sent it away. Wynn doing a really good job denying Chavez. BC hasn't got the ball. Oh, Yeku. Oh. Working against Watson. Oh, look at the spin move.
Ball's loose. DJ Bustos brings it up. Bars Tompkins, alley-oop. How about it? That was redunculous.
Cable to the big fella, might try to jam one home.
You have moments in a season where, things can change one way or the other, and this is clearly one of those. We've entered into a point here where, things are coming to a head. So we've got to kind of figure out what we're going to make out of the rest of this season. We've been encouraging, we've been positive, we've been, as uplifting as we can through a very, very difficult scenario. But that effort at the beginning of this game there's no excuse for it. So we've got to find a way to change that, and we'll continue to strategize ways to get our team playing the way we want, which is as hard as possible. It might not always be as cute or sexy or polished as maybe some of our opponents, or even as talented, but it needs to be at least in the effort category where it should be, and it wasn't tonight to start the game.
Lobo men's basketball coach Paul Weir, after an 82-46 loss on Friday night in Albuquerque to Utah State. Lobos are 0-6 in conference play. They have lost their 6 games by going backwards: 36 points, 32 points, 14 points, 14 points, 37 and 24, an average of 26.16 points per game in their losses. And Paul said it came to a head, or it's coming to a head after Friday night's loss. I'm not sure I know what that means. I know what some of you would like it to mean. I know what some others of you would like it to mean. But he talked about a different coaching style, different players. We saw different guys come off the bench, get a lot of minutes. Nolan Dorsey was the guy who I guess got the most. This is where I struggle a little bit with it, JJ, where after the game, and Nolan Dorsey, terrific off the bench. He had 7 points. It's like, wow. And that's what we're getting excited about, right? And that should tell you the state of everything. I think it's great that Nolan Dorsey looked good and played well. And is he the guy? Look, I don't know, man. I don't know if he's the guy any more than Tyler Heineke's the guy in Washington. But Lobo fan is losing their mind right now. You got, out of your starting 5, JJ, do you know you got 19 points? Out of your starting 5, you had 2 guys who had 0 points. Malawach had 13. Rod Brown had 4, and Matos had 2. You got 19 points out of your starting 5. Like, I don't know if that's I'd lean on Frank a little to say, hey, what's the lowest output in the history of Lobo basketball from your starting 5? But I'm going to guess that's right near the top, don't you think?
It'd be in the vicinity, and this is a situation that you're excited about a Nolan Dorsey. You're excited about a Javonte Johnson because there's nothing else to be excited about with this basketball team. The known commodities aren't producing. Maklacha Malawach hasn't been this dude that's stepping up, scoring 20 points a night.
That's not who he is.
And yes, but it was, people thought it was going to be that, but that's never been the player he is. But unfortunately, that was put on him because no one else can score on this roster. Like, you're waiting for Keith McGee to turn into Steph Curry, and that's not going to be the case. Like, there are a bunch of complementary players that don't have anything to complement because they don't have anyone to lead the way.
Yeah, I just, This one, talking to Lobo fan all weekend, I mean, different fans, I mean, from all over the spectrum. It feels to me, and I'll throw in what I told you last week. I really think the out of sight, out of mind thing. There was a guy in the paper who said today in Speak Up, why should I care about a team playing in Lubbock? The whole out of sight, out of mind thing. They're not playing here. You can't go to the games. They're not competitive. They're not fun. Lobo fan is losing their mind. And then I firmly understand the challenges. Okay, I think being away, practicing, limited practice time, they were. The late start is partially correct. I mean, they were having workouts all summer and they had gotten going, but it's partially correct. But the women are 5-0 or 6-0. What's their women's number? What's their record? 4-0. 5-0. They're going through the same thing. Now, they maybe haven't played the top teams in their league like I think the Lobos have, except for San Diego State. Is it going to be different when they play San Jose State and when they play, I don't know, let's see UNLV this weekend? Air Force? I don't know. Maybe that'll make you feel better because they get them at the back end of the schedule and you go into the offseason and they win a few games on the back end of the schedule. I don't know where you are. But this has a horrible feel. Are they back in Albuquerque now? Is that what I understand? That they came back, JJ, for a couple of days just to get out of Lubbock and come back home for a little bit, and then, but if they're home, they can't practice, right?
So yes. So it's a situation where it's a layover for Lobo basketball, not coming back thinking they were going to play. And I think even for these guys right now, 2 or 3 days just here with your own stuff to get your mind together, is it going to make them a better basketball team? No. But just personally, mentally, maybe that's just something they needed just to keep grinding. So that's when I heard that what was happening, then I was like, oh, that makes sense. Like, I don't think these players were assuming that they're coming back here and playing the rest of the season in Albuquerque. I just think they're like, can I go just sleep in my own bed for a night? Can I go collect my ish in my own area? And it's that simple with what they're doing right now.
How do you I've thought about this a lot, and after hearing Paul's comments after Friday night's game, Paul seems frustrated. Body language, I mean, you look at him, he's just looks beat up a little bit by this whole thing, and I don't know how he couldn't be. I mean, right? This is he's putting everything into it. It's got a feel of Craig's last year, and I'm not telling you, Paul, this is Paul's last year. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not telling you it's not. But it's got that feel with Lobo fan just disgusted. What do you say to him? Like, the situation isn't changing. It's out of your control. You're right, man. We're sitting in a residence inn in Lubbock, Texas, and we're playing in someone else's gym, and we're getting blued out every night. But damn it, like, do you love on them? Do you tough on them? Do you this is a tricky one. And Paul's instinct, I don't believe, is to tough on him. I think his instinct is to love on him, and how far is the love going right now? Because I don't know how I would coach this team right now, and I guess that's why I'm not a coach. Would you ride them? Do you lean on them at risk of losing them? Do you cut playing time at risk of? I mean, what do you lose at this point? You got a bunch of guys that it's not working right now. I'm listening.
To that, cut playing time for what? Yeah. Like, and I think that's the problem. You're not like, there's not dudes like. Nolan Dorsey scored 7 points in second half, and people are like, oh, he should be the starting point guard. So to this point, like, you're cutting playing time for what? Like, most people think he should actually be giving more playing time to certain guys, like just going with a lineup, which I guess, that kind of gets into the point of cutting some of the guys out of the rotation. But it's also, if you're Paul Weir, you came into this season, I don't thinking this team was going to be as bad as they've been offensively, but knowing, hey, I want to play 10 to 11 guys night in and night out. And you have a lot of young guys that you need to develop. And so I think that's the challenge, is can you push through these moments to give them the opportunity when it might not be good? But what are you cutting back to? Are you cutting back to just 30 minutes of Malawach, McGee, Matos?
It's not like they're pouring it in for you. No, your point's dead right. JJ, they're not good offensively. And is that a rhythm thing? I know I asked you the other day, did they not have shooters or are they just not making shots? They shot 31% from the field again, 3.5 of 21. My gut tells me Francis is your point guard. My gut tells me, from what I've seen, right? That's what the last caller said. He thinks Jeremiah Francis. I think he's your answer long term. Do you agree with that?
I think Francis is fine if you had scores.
Okay, that's probably right.
And that's the issue. I think Francis would be a dude that works off one or two other shooters well, just because he's stable. He doesn't do a lot of bad things with the basketball, but you're at a point where you don't just need stability. Like, someone's got to hit shots. So it doesn't matter if you have a point guard moving the ball around if no one is hitting shots.
Yeah, and I don't know who's scoring. I heard all kinds of great things about Rod Brown coming in, how he's from Wichita State and he's a scorer. He was 2 of 8 from the field. He played 27 minutes and scored 4 points.
He's not a scorer.
McGee. Well, so who's scoring? Honestly, with all due respect, what's the basics of basketball is to put ball in basket. Who's putting ball in basket? How do you?
I'm good. And just the overall point too, like, is you brought up the discussions that you're having and the or lack of discussions at some point. It's the fascinating psyche of a sports fan, because you can be all in to a certain point. You can say you love something, but it's also easy to stop following said thing you love. And that's the challenge of it. Like, we're sitting here this weekend looking at Cleveland Browns fans and Buffalo Bills fans. Well, they haven't won forever. No. Did they just stop going to those games, stop watching their team? So it's that, but you can get to a point where some people will say, yeah, I'm not investing
1 minute
as much or my time anymore, because where's the reward?
I go back to that email we get every August, September. Jeff, where's all the playing time coming from? They got all these great players coming in, and where are the basketball and where are the minutes coming from? And I said, just wait, because in January every year we have this conversation. Where are they getting points from? I mean, is it pretty much every January I ask you who's scoring the basketball? Where are they getting points? And there's no solid answer? No, it's bad now.
It hasn't been this bad.
Yeah, and so I guess it comes down to how does it get this bad? Like, when you're recruiting a team, you're putting a team together. You got to find shooters, scores. Like, I feel for Paul and what they're going through, because I think the situation's real. But they're getting beat by 26 points a game. It's the opening drive. 505-246-0610. Glad you're with us on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM and AM 670 Sports Animal.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
Dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass, wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate, the long bomb, 3 ball. Oh, great steal. by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
Pahola, a little jump step in the... And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford set. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake, everyone bites. Ramos hits.
Jackson loses it. Taylor Bond back. LAU. Put it down. Dunkalicious. How about it?
Super wild card weekend. And it was good. It was good. Browns, Ravens, Saints, Rams, Bills, Bucks, all winners. They advance in the NFL playoffs. We can get into that. We've talked quite a bit about that. And we're talking Level basketball after their 82-46 loss in Albuquerque on Friday. We can get in on Tommy Lasorda, what he meant to you, what he meant to baseball, not only Dodgers. I mean, growing up a Dodger fan, right? It was Walter Olson and then it was Tommy Lasorda. They had two managers for the majority of your life, for the, for like 30, 40 years, for crying out loud. So you can get into that. I got a bunch of emails coming in on Lobo basketball, JJ. We'll get into because then that conversation is going to continue. 505-246-0610 is how to get here. 888-922-0610. Sean, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good day, sir.
Good morning, gentlemen. How's it going?
It's good. How you living?
I'm doing well. Monday seems to have got some people ornery. I respect the previous callers, but I have to disagree with most of what they said. Edward, your love for Tom Brady makes me a little sick. It's awful to see. But we spoke at the start of the season about the crowd having an impact. You know that this is the first time in 52 years that there's been more road wins in the regular season.
Sure.
How's that
There's
for
a
the
reason.
crowd not having an impact?
Yeah, there's a reason.
But, Lance, I love you, but Mike Tomlin's win record is 145-78. He's a good coach.
Yep.
But I think Ben is done. The Steelers' culture around him has changed a lot since maybe 4 or 5 years ago. It's not like he's throwing the ball to Haynes Ward anymore. I think Ben's done.
Done, period, or done in Pittsburgh?
I think done, period. Did you see Ben playing for another team?
Did you see Phillip Rivers playing for another team? Did you see Tom Brady playing for another team? I mean, why not?
That's a very fair point, but I don't think Ben has it in him anymore to produce like Brady does. That may be Brady's supporting cast, but again, that goes against what David was saying earlier. You can see other quarterbacks flourish with other teams. Tom Brady's not Matt Flynn.
Hardly is he Matt Flynn. You know, I'm looking around to see who I think the team is that thinks they're Indianapolis that's going to take a one-year shot on a quarterback next year, right? Because when you say, all right, where would Ben go next year, I'm not sure I see the team who thinks, unless it's maybe Minnesota if they give up on Kirk Cousins, that I think that there's a team that thinks they're close, they're just a quarterback to take a one-year shot with a quarterback. JJ, do you see one? Unless it's Minnesota, who would that team be that was in Indianapolis' place this year? Because I think Indy's going to try to find their long-term solution.
I think Ben is in Pittsburgh. I think he plays out his final year as they figure out what's next for them as a franchise.
So I think that's right. That's where we disagree.
Do you think they re-sign Juju?
I don't think it's that big of a deal if they do or they don't. My gut tells me they're done with him. They're sick of him.
speaking of people being signed and people on the move, Deshaun Watson, he deserves to be disgruntled. I'll go against what Edward was saying about him. The guy was promised to be a part of what was happening with the future of the franchise. You not think Rodgers gets at least told what's happening? You not think Brady got extended that? If you believe he's your franchise, let him be part of the franchise.
Especially if you're going to tell him he's going to be. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. You gave him your word, and then you went back on it. Yeah, he's pissed off.
But I would like to finish with this. Thank you to the Rams for the 23rd overall pick in the first round.
Oh, yeah, you get that, huh?
Do indeed. So
all right, enjoy that.
Whether it doesn't really come full circle since it was Jamal Adams that knocked Walford out the game.
Yeah, it kind of does, huh? It was Jamal Adams. And did that look like a fairly innocuous hit, didn't it?
It was a bang-bang play. You can't tell the quarterback's going down like that as soon as you start going for that hit. It's hard to judge that.
Yeah, it's just how it hits, how you got him. It reminded me of the hit that ended Romo.
Surgery in his left shoulder, his right shoulder, and his left hand. So Jets may have won that trade.
Maybe. All right, man. Enjoy the day. It's a good phone call. Thanks, Sean. Good to hear you always.
Appreciate you, gentlemen. Have a good one.
Later. 505-246-0610. Paul, you're up next. Good morning, Paul.
Good morning, guys. Hope you had a great weekend. Two things I wanted to touch base on is, first of all, the whole Pittsburgh situation. Obviously, James Conner's not the answer for running back, and Ben will definitely come back to finish out the year. There's the ATN out of Clemson. There's Alabama has some running backs coming out this year, so they'll probably draft one of those and then give Ben a chance to compete one more time. They have a good team. It's just they definitely lack running game, and they need some explosive players at the tight end position as well. But then my shocker was I picked Cleveland to win, and I'm going to pick Cleveland again to beat Kansas City. I think they have the running game that can neutralize Kansas City. The Raiders set the blueprint earlier this year. They almost beat them a second time as well by just ramming the ball down their throats. And Kansas City tends to get a little flustered once you pound them like that. And I can honestly see Cleveland has that Florida Marlins type vibe going on right now when they beat my Yankees in the World Series. They're just clicking at the right time. They look solid, and I really think they have a great chance of upsetting Kansas City.
It's interesting. That's a good perspective, Paul. Appreciate the call. Thank you. So he's got that franchise that struggled, but now they've got that grit to them. That team, that it is what he's saying, and he gives him a shot in Kansas City.
You have to give him a shot. I'm not going to give him that big of a shot because you have to always tell yourself, hold up, expect the unexpected. Sports does not go the way we think it does all the time. If it did, we wouldn't be in these situations, and all of us would be ridiculously rich betting on the game. And it's evident by what Seattle did and what Cleveland did this past weekend. You have to be explosive. I think what you can see out of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt is explosive plays against the Chiefs. It's not just all about ball control. Because how many points did the Raiders score in that game to beat the Chiefs? They scored in the 40s. So if you try to slow it down and control the football, maybe it slows them down for a little bit. You got to get in the end zone. And I'm not counting against the Browns in terms of their preparation and being ready for this contest.
I think the Browns can score on them. I just don't think they can stop them. I mean, I don't think the Browns put up 48 points like they did yesterday, but I think the Browns are going to score in the mid to high 20s. I just don't think that they can stop what Kansas City's going to do, and that's why I think Kansas City's going to beat them. What do we have?
Kansas City going to turn over the football like that?
No.
Cleveland took advantage of it. Absolutely.
Yeah. Good for them. They scored on every one of them.
Yeah, you fell on a football in the end zone after a bad snap in the first play of the game and took the next two interceptions right into the end zone. I don't think Mahomes is throwing 3, let alone 4 interceptions next weekend.
4 road teams won this weekend. Is that correct? Buccaneers, the Rams, 4 road, or half the road teams. Half of them were road teams. No, 4 out of 6. The Buccaneers, the Rams, the Ravens, and the Browns. 4 out of 6 road teams won. Light shirts. Biggest surprise, I think, was the Browns. People are telling me the Rams was a big surprise. I think everybody picked the Bucs, and most people picked the Ravens. Why were the Rams such a big surprise? Is it because the quarterback situation?
They started John Wolford in a playoff game against Russell Wilson. And as good as that defense is, you had to say, well, there's a concern, yes, with Jared Goff's thumb, but to still be starting John Wolford, is it just because of the thumb, or is it because they don't have a belief in where Goff is right now and what they did in that game? Because no one questioned their defense. Everyone knows the Rams' defense is really good, but you just thought, all right, postseason quarterback play is going to eventually bite you, and it didn't. So that is why it is up there in shocking with how bad Russ looked. They had him stuck in neutral. The Rams own Russell Wilson the last 2 years, and you brought it up. It's a division game, and things happen in that division. You mentioned what San Francisco does against LA. There's something about that Rams defense that takes away what Russ likes to do, and they're very good at it.
What did that win mean for Jared Goff? Because to me, it was a really for him to come off the bench like that, 12 days after thumb surgery, to lead a road victory in the playoffs and look really good doing it. Like, that's as good as Goff's looked in a while, and it was with a broken thumb. To me, I don't know, maybe that solidifies him for another couple of years. I don't think he was in trouble as far as the franchise quarterback there. Maybe that does something in the locker room. But that's as good of a win as Jared Goff's had since the Super Bowl year.
As good of a win, what he did was same old Jared Goff. That's a quarterback you expect, just to kind of manage the situation. Because Cam Akers was the MVP of that game.
No doubt.
On the Rams, which allowed Jared Goff not to have to go crazy and really see, all right, are we going to test this dude's thumb? Because he completed 9 passes in the game, but one of them was for a touchdown, hit Robert Woods, didn't turn the football over. That was the Jared Goff that you expect, even when he doesn't have a broken thumb. Just manage the game, put us in good positions.
Yeah. All right. 505-246-0610. When we come back, we'll talk Lobo basketball. I'll get a lot of you have comments on Lobo basketball. So we'll get into that. We'll still take your phone calls on the National Football League if you'd like to go there. Tommy Lasorda passed away on Friday. We can get into that. You got Ohio State, Alabama. Who you like tonight? Huh? You got to like Alabama, or do you? It's the opening drive on ProView Networks at 95.9 FM at AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Mahomes.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network. Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. One man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
3rd and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake, head up the middle, got some room. 50, 45, 40, has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5, touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown. Portell.
The outside of running an out route.
Davison in a play action looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown. So Davison back to toss, and he's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling. He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
Hey, we told you he could spin that
Touchdown.
football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the wind in his back, but
To create space, he gives it off to Rivas for the 3, and he buries it.
Coming in soon, double quick set for Avalos, goes to the right, Avalos puts it up high, window, scores it as foul. Right here by Lewis, all the way, coast to coast, and
Hey, 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 hey. That's right. This might be the last one until next September. You realize that? Good win for the LA Super Rams. 30-20. Addie came out the other day. She's like, let's wear our matching Rams hats. She wanted a Rams hat for Christmas, and she went through them, and she's like, I want that one. I'm like, I have that same hat. So we went in the matching Rams hat mode. 30-20, Jared Goff comes off the bench. Sean McVay saying he does expect Aaron Donald to be able to go against the Packers, as well as Cooper Kupp, and isn't sure who's going to start a quarterback, whether it's going to be John Wolford or Jared Goff, which is somewhat surprising. I mean, it feels like a no-brainer at this point, doesn't it?
It does. If Goff could go out there and play the rest of that game and finish it off for you, why would he not start the next contest?
Yeah, it feels that way. Now, I get it, the broken thumb, and I don't know what the look at the weather in Green Bay and what it's supposed to be in Wisconsin this weekend, but it feels like that's your guy. 505-246-0610, Francisco. Good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Good day, sir.
Hey, what's happening?
How you living? You good?
Yeah, I just had a stuffed soap appeal from El Modelo. I'm looking.
Oh, how bad can it be, man? That's a great way to start Monday. Nice.
That's right, man. The most shocking thing that I saw this weekend was the camera coming back on Tony Romo, and he's chewing that food. The look of horror on his face trying to chew that food while the camera that was priceless. I don't know if you took that, but
I didn't see that, no.
If you didn't, Google it. It's awesome. He's chewing, and the camera comes back on him, and then he stops chewing, and he's like, "What should I?" You could read his mind. What should I do? Should I continue chewing this food? Should I spit it out?
That's good.
Awesome, man. But a couple of things. Phillip Rivers played really well this weekend. His running backs stink. They can't catch the ball. The Titans, use your running back. He's your best player. You know, and I like Lamar Jackson and everything. I think he's a good player.
He's a really good player.
Under 200 yards, he ain't going to win the Super Bowl like that. It ain't going to happen. He needs to pass the ball more. Because you're going against some offenses pretty soon, some real offenses. The Lobos, they are who they are, you know. I mean, what can you do at this point?
Online.
I don't even I feel bad for them because of COVID and not being able to practice and everything, but Paul Weir puts together these teams, and these are nice guys, don't get me wrong. The last guys weren't nice guys. Well, some of them weren't. A lot of them were. Too many personalities on the last team. Now, this one is he puts the same type of players, and he can't form a team like this. I need just a rebounder. I need a gritty guy. I need one guy that could hit a three-pointer.
Someone who could score, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he just doesn't put the teams together well, and he just went too new on this side this time, He always goes to the extreme. Like, all transfers, all these guys, yeah, they look great and everything, but,
I don't know if he had choices, but they had to restart.
Yeah, I don't know if he does. I mean, it is what it is, but it's his team. I mean,
it is
he
his
put
team.
it together, and I just want to see them get better, but they have not gotten better. They've gotten worse.
Yeah. All right, enjoy that stuff, Sopapilla.
His confidence, man, and I'm still pulling for him, man.
Yeah. All right, see you. By the way, weather in Green Bay on Saturday, JJ. This is where I'm thinking on Jared Goff's thumb. A high of 27. They're going to kick off at 4:35 Eastern. I believe that's Central Time there, so 3:35. Low of 16, mostly cloudy, 20% chance. It's going to be cold.
Give the man some hand warmers in between series.
Yeah, but I mean, with 3 pins in your thumb, gripping that, we'll find out. Tommy, good morning. How you living? It's a little truth. You're on the opening drive.
Hey guys. Tommy, the truth back at you. How'd you guys do on your picks this weekend? I was 2-2.
There were 6 games. Did you
wait a minute, hold it. 1, 2. Well, I missed the Tennessee Titans game. I missed that one. I missed the Rams game. I picked Seattle.
I was 4-2.
Man, I must be still asleep.
Yeah, that's right.
I got the Tampa Bay game right. I got the Buffalo game right.
So you were 4-2.
Cleveland game right. I picked Cleveland because I was so tired of Juju talking his mouth. He's starting to sound like Antonio Brown. He needs to be quiet and just play football sometimes.
Yeah. That's why they're going to move on.
But the one kicker for me was sometimes you got to choose common sense over analytics. The Colts game against Buffalo, if they would just went for that, the extra points, they're going for 2, they would have been 2 points down, and then all they need to do is kick the field goal to win. And I couldn't understand that. I wish they just would have had some common sense. Common sense, but maybe they thought they could get the 2-pointer, but you have to think about that part big time.
Yeah, that was a little surprising.
So how'd you guys do?
4-2.
4-2. You guys lucky. That's good though. We'll see what happens this week. I'm going to look at the games. I was going to pick Baltimore. I picked Tennessee, but that's all right. I'm glad. The game I'm really happy with. I'm happy with Cleveland, all they went through with the coach not being there and just kind of shutting up Pittsburgh a little bit. That was great. I loved that. That was great.
Yep. A lot of people are happy with that. All right, man. Well, enjoy the week. We'll talk to you throughout the week.
All right.
See you. Tommy with some truth at 505-246-0610. It's hard, man. Just picking winners, let alone against the spread. I mean, the surprise was the Browns, right? I just didn't think that they were going to be able, with no practice, with no coach, I just didn't think they'd go into Pittsburgh. And all of a sudden, honestly, so we went, we're making dinner. And I said, what's the score? And she looked over, it's 21-0. I'm like, wow, Steelers are kicking. No, the Browns, Dad. And I'm like, what? And I look, how the hell did that happen? Yeah.
It was shocking. The way, not necessarily that you just won, but how they won.
Mm-hmm.
You're expecting still a close game, even with the issues, but I thought it would be just flipped. The week having Ben Roethlisberger back, the challenges for the Browns, that it would be like 24-20 Pittsburgh this game instead of 24-22 Cleveland like we saw in Week 17. Nope. Boat raced. Yep. The most meaningless 500-yard game you're ever going to see in the playoffs.
Yeah, that's probably right. Omar didn't think Super Wildcard Weekend was all that great. He said the only thing super about Wildcard Weekend was the Washington football team lost and Pittsburgh were blued out of their build. Okay. I mean, it's all perspective, right? Ron says, normally we fall in love with teams from Wildcard Weekend, Jeff. That didn't happen for me this year. In fact, it made the teams with buys look even stronger. Of the teams that came out, right, the Bills would be the team probably that looks the best in the AFC, although the Ravens look nice, and those two teams are going to beat each other up next weekend. NFC, is there a team that you said, they're better than Green Bay? Rams? Bucks?
I didn't.
Saints?
better than Green Bay. The team that I like going into next weekend is Tampa Bay. I think that was a good moment.
I think
for them.
that's right. I think
it's
that's
pressure. It's Tom Brady, and that front seven is coming. I think they can. I think they're going to end that streak and beat the Saints this weekend.
I think so too. Bad Street says Lancer is the OD answer. I think his Pumpkins are more than an old quarterback away from the championship game. I think that's exactly right. And therein lies the issue. All right, when we come back, I'm going to talk a little basketball with you. I'm going to get you these emails, your thoughts. We think the Lobos are back home, right? For a hiatus. Are they going back to Albuquerque to practice, or are they going straight to Vegas? Do you know the itinerary? It's straight to Vegas.
Would make sense, because it would be a terrible decision to come here, go back to Lubbock, then go to Vegas.
Yeah, I think that's right. So a few days in Vegas, could they get practice time there? And it's hard, man. Look, I'm not going to underscore what they're doing.
Women are in Vegas right now practicing as well. They landed there yesterday.
Yeah, it's not easy. 505-246-0610 on the opening drive on 95.9 FM and AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Mahomes with the snap, floats it toward the back.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Moreno extra pass, and Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's going to run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand.
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
Boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji! Into Watson with the jam!
Another steal by Divino Lovato, and here comes Agbaiosi, lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming. The lob, tagged by Osi, the one-hand hammer.
Put up. And a drive from Parham.
Let's get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll just shoot it. He's going to go all the way.
He's going to fire at the buzzer, and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much. Tie in the district, inside, fly, Eagles.
Chavez uses some athleticism, and then Morris First down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this. Stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer.
Brady will take a knee. Tonight he threw a couple touchdown passes, one to Antonio Brown at 36 and one of 27 yards to Godwin, and a touchdown run of 3 yards by Leonard Fournette. And their first postseason win since the Super Bowl in 2003. And Washington with a valiant stab at the great Tom Brady coming up short.
A valiant stab at the great Tom Brady. A lot of long streaks broken this weekend. Buffalo, Cleveland, Tampa Bay. A lot of streaks put to bed in the super wild card weekend in the NFL. Opening drive, Jeff Siembieda and J.J. Buck. Josh produces downtown on the picture side. ProView Networks, you can watch the show on our Facebook page, the OD in the AM, or ProViewNetworks.com. Micah's at Radio Ranch on the radio side. All right, J.J., let's get into a little Lobo basketball after the 36-point loss, 82-46, in Albuquerque on Friday. Lobo Hobo says if Lobo basketball is home, the governor isn't letting them practice, right? They can't even go over to Johnson Field because all the rims have been removed. That's how petty the public health orders have gotten. Look, the rims have been down for a while. We've had, I don't want to get back into the conversation of why. It is what it is. I think many of us feel the same way. However you feel, this isn't going to change. Should they be able to play or practice here? They're not. And so I think this is what they're battling. JJ, you said they came home for a little layover, and then they're going to go to Vegas and prepare for the weekend.
Yeah, it's not come back, play practice. It was just try to get your mind together, and that's a situation that you have to account for. They're not playing well. There's a lot of questions of, well, how is this particular team going to get better? And there's also the fact that they're human beings in all this. And I think all of us at some point in time need a day and our moment to recharge. And I think there's a hope that that's what this can be. It's not, hey, let's go hit the court for 8 hours. It's kind of like, all right, go to your bed tonight. You know, we're going to have to hit the road quickly. Enjoy it for a moment, and then we're back at it.
All right. Richard says, when Lobo basketball loses by 30 to Utah State, Jeff, and Cada didn't even play that great, I think you're seeing the impact of not having the support of their cheerleaders and their chaparrals. No band. Heck, is Hunter even with the team, or is he doing this thing remotely? No band, no cheerleaders, no dance squad, no Hunter Green.
It's proven that a tuba helps your defense.
No doubt.
By 7 points per game.
Bom, bom. Bom, bom. Bom, bom. Yeah, no, that's right.
Doug on the line.
Tellus wants to know, here's a big issue. Who is their Sam Merrill? The guy who can take over a game when Lobo basketball needs it most. I thought my favorite Malawach was going to be the guy, but I'm beginning to realize he's just not that kind of player. He's not. You know, he was your best bet, but he isn't that guy, and there isn't a Sam Merrill on this team. There's not even a Kendall Williams or a give me something. There isn't a go-to guy.
There's a bunch of complementary players, but nothing to complement. And it's a lot of young guys that have to develop.
There's nothing to compliment. Yeah.
Like Rod Brown would be good if you had a scorer or two. Like Rod Brown on last year's team probably has a huge impact. The squad, not so much.
Doug, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Doug.
Hey, guys. How we doing today?
Good. How you living?
I couldn't be better as a Cleveland Browns fan. It's a beautiful day. The sun is up. I haven't felt like this in 25 years.
Yeah, it's been a while for you, huh? It had to be nice. Were you nervous until the very end?
Absolutely nervous till the end. Chris Collinsworth made a great comment when we were up 21-0 about no Browns fan is comfortable right now. He was absolutely right. I laughed out loud at that one.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, but it's good. It's you've got a quarterback. You've got a team. That's just a gutsy, good, hungry, hard-nosed football team.
And one thing I got to say, there are so many Pittsburgh Steeler fans around this town, which I don't understand at all. I get the Dallas fans. We're at least within proximity of Dallas. But there's Steeler fans everywhere around this town. And usually, you know, the kind of people who are Steeler fans who aren't from Pittsburgh, they don't know a lot about football. They jump on one of the winning teams. And I would just like to say to all of those Steeler fans, your team is old and weak and soft, and little brother came into your backyard and kicked the crap out of you.
That's so good. See, it's been a long time, Doug. Enjoy that, because you obviously are. Thanks for the call, man. See, that call, that gentleman right there has been waiting forever to get in Steeler fans' face and say, we just kicked your ass.
There's a new king of the castle in that rivalry, and it's Cleveland. They let out so much. And Baker Mayfield's right. He's sitting there going, what happened when I was a kid doesn't matter, but it matters to everyone else. Like the fans that lived it day in and day out. From
Doug.
John Elway and the Drive to 17 straight losses at Heinz Field. Everyone else is living it. But Baker Mayfield and Cleveland, they're not the same old Browns. Juju's got to eat it. He's got to dance everything back because of what they did. I didn't think they could do it, and they proved everyone wrong that wasn't rocking the Cleveland Browns orange this weekend.
And they did it with all those extenuating circumstances, right? They did it with all their COVID departures or their COVID vacancies, the guys who couldn't play. They did it without their head coach. They did it without practicing. They did it with all of those things that were current. It had nothing to do with Ernest Biner fumbling in the John Elway game. It had nothing to do with any of that. It had to do with what was going on now. And to Doug's point, they went in and beat an old team and kicked him in the face. And all those years of frustration, like I think that almost makes it even better because there were Browns teams that probably you thought were better or had a better chance. This was the game where you went into and everybody told you couldn't win because of all these circumstances, and boom. Right, and I almost think that makes it better. John is in on the Lobos. Well, this whole season started off on the wrong track. It was uncertain if there was going to be a season at all. I can understand all that, but what we're seeing is an amplified situation of what he's put on the floor the past 2 years. Poor execution on offense, poor defense, not to mention free throws and rebounding. So honestly, it's more of the same, just a lot more visible. So he's saying this is a continuation of what you saw. You had your 2 months where you had Carlton Bragg and J.J. Caldwell and you and Jaquan Lau playing. And then when that whole thing exploded that December night, Bragg, Caldwell get kicked off the team. He's telling you this is just an extension of everything you've seen. And J.J., I'm not going to lie to you. I got a lot of Lobo fans who tell me the same thing. It's just this is what we've seen. It's just not very good. This is just an extension of who they are and who they're going to be under Paul.
Yes, and it's a situation in which you don't have the payoff. And you brought this up, Jeff. Like, if you can go through rebuilds and struggling times, if you had that moment, you see, okay, this staff or this program has something that works, and now they just got to build back to that. But it's a situation where they're rebuilding off of no payoff. And then so you had a team last year that people didn't like. They thought there were too many characters, didn't play together. Well, you turn all that over, you bring a bunch of new players to develop. Well, they're not playing well at all. And then you're in a situation where people are like, what are we doing here?
What are we doing here? I mean, like, are they just not very good, or are they a team that just hasn't had a chance to prepare and play? And we just had a conversation about the Cleveland Browns who didn't have a chance to prepare, and they would have won a playoff game. But this is different.
The Cleveland Browns can pull an Allen Iverson. Like, you've been there, done that. You're professionals. A little bit different than a bunch of dudes playing Division I basketball for the first time over 2 months.
So,
but it's a sense that even if they practice fully, I don't think they're a good team this year. I just don't see it, and I see the baseline of what Weir was trying to do. Just have a bunch of athletes try to cause havoc, but you're not causing havoc, and then it highlights your offensive deficiencies when you're not scoring off your defense, and you're in a situation where you're losing by 26 points per game in Mountain West play.
Yep. And yeah, and again, you're not putting the ball in the hole. They've scored 45 and 46 the last 2 nights. I mean, there's 2 of the lowest outputs of the Paul Weir era. 45 was the lowest. It's just, you can't win. You can't win when you can't score. Basketball, put ball in basket, and they're really struggling. They got 19 points out of their starting 5. I'll check with Frank, and I know it's going to be some digging for him. But when was the last game in Level basketball where their starting 5 scored less than 19 points? I'm going to guess you got to go back a while, right? All right, back to the phones when we come back. 505-246-0610. Protect what's important to you. Protect your family. Protect your home or your business. Call International Protective Service. IPS is a security company that I have trust for years to watch my home. I get it, man. Security for your home, security for your business. It's just like insurance. You know you need it. It's hard to pull the trigger and pay for it. And then a bad guy breaks in and you realize, I should have been prepared. Don't wait until it's too late. Call IPS. Last year was rough. Don't let this year be as rough. Don't let it be worse. Take action. Let IPS protect your home or your business with on-site guards or 24-hour patrols and stop the crime before it happens to you. If you go away, IPS will protect your home with patrols every day. They'll come by, pick up the newspaper. Today's garbage day up at my house. They'll roll the cans back to the curb and back to where they belong on garbage day. Pick up the mail, the newspaper. Your home gets that lived-in look. Call them, 505-897-2420. That's area code 505-897-2420, or go to ipsglobal.com.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy. And it's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
Going to hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles, look out! Chavez up the sideline, stays in bounds, touchdown, Volcanovic!
That replay, I got you. Measurement. I mean, Smith's got a fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. It's into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
Run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. And looking to throw it. And he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11. And spin move for Smith. Push the B button. Dance into the end zone.
Throw it. Looking. Here comes the rush. Step it up. Pavia now running around. Being chased. Looks across. Throws it up, man's wide open. Ball is caught. Touchdown. Jimmy Gaye. Dropping, looking, stepping up. He's going to run. He's got a lot of green in front of him. To the end zone. Touchdown. Rio Rancho, Isaiah Chavez. Chavez set. He's going to run with it again and dives and...
Austin Smith, and to the outside, a lot of room. Look out, a foot race down the sideline. All the way on the first play from scrimmage, Chris. That's a touchdown.
Scrambling. And great hit. He bounces off outside. Got some daylight at the 20, the 10, the 5. What an incredible run.
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little spin and a finish. Here's Natalia Chavez. Good spin. Takes a.
Here's Ramos. Nice jump stop through the.
Drive. 15th play of the drive. Breeze, hand it off. Camara plunging forward. End zone and touchdown.
Hey, there's the slide.
Slime Vision, courtesy of Nickelodeon. Pop over and catch a little football on Nickelodeon? I did.
Dude, I love that so much. That is a great idea. The way they presented the game a little bit differently, but then they just like, all right, this is what holding is. This is what defensive pass interference is. It is a brilliant way to help keep the kids involved, interacting with the game. Because I know when SpongeBob popped up, my son was all of a sudden all about that game, and they went away, and he's like, oh, just football.
Yeah, whatever. It's just football. You're explaining to me that being benched is like being grounded. And did you catch that part of it? Where, it's like you can't go out, and then all of a sudden you did your job better so you can go back outside. And yeah, it's football and Nickelodeon. All right, we're going to go back to the phones here in a minute. John says, Jeff, you asked how Lobo basketball got to this place. And the answer is simple. They hired a low D1 or D2 level coach for a job that isn't a top tier D1 team, perennial top 20 team. But they've been right at that second level, top 2 or 3. I don't even know what they're saying. Top 2 or 3 in a top 8 league. Why am I reading this? And regular visitor to the top 25 and invited. Somehow he's talking about Craig Neal and Paul Weir here. He says Paul Weir may be a great guy. He seems like he is. But this is not where this program should be. It's not what it is. It has to change. It's time for Coach Weir to go. No hate, no disrespect. This is just not his place. Not in his wheelhouse. He's in over his head. I doubt it'll happen. The money won't let it. But Lobo basketball is better than this. And I hope to see a change soon. Before I go, this Saturday, the weather in LA is forecast to be 81 and sunny. The weather where the Rams are going to lovely Lambeau, 23 and snow the night before. Go Pack, go. It's from John. Yeah, it's going to be tough. All the numbers, D1, D2, top level, perennial, I don't even know, whatever. I mean, basically what he's saying is you're starting to hear this more and more. JJ, I don't know if it's time for Paul to go, but they got to start winning. They got to start improving. And I think that's the biggest thing right now. We asked, for football season, what did you want to see? And you wanted to see a football team that competed and got better, and you did. We didn't even have this conversation in basketball because I think it was a given that you would see a competitive Lobo basketball team, and you're not.
26 points. That's what they've lost by an average in Mountain West play. And there's not much spin you can put on it. When you've been down by 40 in a game, you've lost by 30-plus points. Challenges are real, but at some point you want to see a response to it, and you haven't yet.
Mike, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Mike.
Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Mike.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on Lobo basketball.
Please do.
We have real beauty in Mrs. Grisham, but I think the team could play better. They're not set up right. To me, Quach, I guess he pronounce his name, is probably the best one on the team. He should be playing more.
Emmanuel Quach?
I don't think Marin is very good. He's playing a lot. and Manuel is pretty good. Manuel, and keep McGee in there. You can have McGee, and you can have Marlowe Watch, and Francis is playing better.
Okay.
And Dorsey. They're just not playing as a team. Their boxing out is terrible. The point guard play is terrible. They don't have a Caldwell like this year. They don't. Caldwell was really, really, really good. Excuse me.
Right. No, Mike, appreciate it. It's good points. JJ, okay, first of all, they got out rebounded 53-22. Like, I got it, man. They're smaller, and Keita's there. But 53-22.
They're also missing all the shots.
They're missing a ton of shots.
Again, what's going to happen is defenses are going to have more rebounds than offenses.
Here's the other thing I hear a lot. And you know where I am on whether they should be able to play here. I think this team should be able to play in New Mexico. I think this team could be bubbling here, could be doing what they're doing here, practicing here, have access to their facility. That's my feel. If this team was playing at home, would their record be any different? Is this the governor's fault that they're losing that they're 0-6? Now you could tell me the reason they're losing by 26 a night might have something to do with that. But would they have won a game if they weren't in this situation? Would they be 0-6?
I don't see a dramatic change.
I'm with you.
In this team, I don't think they'd be 0-6.
You don't think so? They'd have won one of the Nevada games? You think they would have won one of the?
To get one of those Nevada games, but when you look at just not shooting, not creating offense, it's so hard to say, boom, all right, they're practicing, and all of a sudden they're hitting more shots. Do they need to practice? Do they need to develop? Of course they do. Yes, they do.
Now, I think there's something to it. I hear it all the time, and I don't want to discount it. I think this is a real issue, what they're going through. But I wonder, okay, would they be different? Jeffrey says, I turned off the game for the first time that I can remember. The most distressing parts are, 1, under Weir, hope is dead, and 2, the indifference continues for the program. I don't know, people seem to care. Indifference is when I stop getting calls and Jeffrey stops texting me or calling. That's when indifference is, right? I mean, this is when people say, I don't care, and they call to tell you they don't care, right? Well, then they care. And I don't know if it's indifferent. I think it's the out of sight, out of mind thing. I mean, the fact that they're playing in
Aaron
Lubbock, there's something to that. Aaron, good morning. You're on the Quan's Auto Care Hotline. Hello, Aaron.
Hey, guys, I just want to get in real quick about the Lobos. I don't know, playing in the pit, I think definitely would make a difference. Would it make a difference between wins or losses? I'm not sure, but just letting you know, like, the conditions that they're currently in Lubbock, like, if that was any other business where you would pick your employees and you put them in a hotel and they were only allowed to go out 2 to 3 hours a week, like, that would not be OSHA compliant. Like, you would get sued. The working conditions that they're under right now are not good. I mean, they're so bad that I'm surprised. Well, I'm not surprised because I know that UNM needs money off these kids' backs, but I'm surprised that they're making these kids do that. That is just not right. Someone should really stand up for those kids and just be like, hey, we're not doing this anymore. Because like I said, if it was any other business environment, you would not be allowed to be in a hotel or in a room and only come out for 2 to 3 hours a day. That's just my thought.
Think that's, no, thanks. I don't think they're only allowed to come out for 2 or 3 hours a day. And every player had the opportunity to opt in or out. So I don't know if they've been made to do this. I mean, football did it for 7 weeks.
They don't have anywhere else to go.
Right. Now, you're right. They can't run around town. They can't go out.
They're essentially in their rooms. Because the one thing, the football had an advantage. They were in a much bigger and nicer.
They were in a resort. Yeah, they were in a resort. Yeah. Women. So nobody's telling me the women have it so tough and they're 5-0. Aren't the women doing the same thing?
Well, the women are telling you they have it tough, but the results.
Yeah, but I'm not hearing it from fans like that.
Because of the results.
That's I like. Is it imperfect? And Aaron, you're right. This is really hard. Now, are they forced to do this? Is this prison? Like the women have said, it's almost like prison. It's not prison. It's horribly unideal and imperfect and borderline inadequate.
2 minutes.
Yeah, it's bad. Should somebody be suing or I don't know. I don't know that anybody held the scholarships over their head. They were permitted to opt out, and they would have still had their scholarships. This is the situation they were forced into if they wanted to play basketball. And let's be very, very honest, everyone on that roster is here to play basketball first and then go to school, right? I mean, this is where they've opted to play basketball and go to school. They want to play basketball. In this state, at that university, that's the only way they could do it. If you get another option, I'm listening. And the option is don't play, okay. I think every one of these kids would have opted to play instead of not, right? They all did, didn't they?
They did.
No. Aaron, your point's not completely off. I just, you're right. If that would have been my job and they'd have made me do that, like it would have been tough. I went over to Frisco for a week.
1 minute.
To do my job, and it was inadequate, or not inadequate. It was imperfect. All right, you got a national championship. I'm going to take Ohio State in the points tonight, the 10.5, and the under. Where are you? I think Alabama wins, but I'm going to take Ohio State in the points. Pulling for Ohio State.
That sounds good to me. I think Ohio State, even Justin Fields a little bit banged up. They're going to score. They're going to move the football, but I got Alabama winning the Natty.
All right. That's going to be fun tonight. Josh, good work. Micah, good job as always. Jim Rome show is next. The Dan Patrick Show will follow that. The Sports Bar is more local sports talk this afternoon. It will begin at 3, and then we're back with award-winning radio for you tomorrow morning starting at 7 a.m. You guys down for that? All right, go out and have a good day, boys and girls. Enjoy it. Should be beautiful outside. Be good to each other, please. Be kind, loving, caring, and sharing. We'll smell you tomorrow.
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
That ball stolen. Jeremy Segura.
Forward dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass. Wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate, the long bomb, 3 ball.
Oh, great steal by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
A whole little jump step in the... And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford set. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake. Everyone bites. Ramos hits. Jackson loses it.
Delicious. How about it?
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number one. Cover it with green stuff, one scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports